If you need an example that we're fired up and in football season, all you need to know is that the Love Chevy phone line's already hopping this morning as we begin the show, and Gamecock Larry wasn't even first. Welcome in. Hope your Friday morning's off to a good start. You can tell Bill's feeling good. We got NFL from last night. The ageless former Gamecock, Mr. Irrelevant, Ryan Suckup, continues to be very relevant, adding to his Super Bowl champion offseason as he's been basking in the glow, and then winning the game for the Bucs last night. The field goal with 7 seconds to go, 31-29 the final score. Tampa Bay over Dallas, a really wildly entertaining opener for the NFL. And Tom Brady, speaking of ageless, looks like he's going to continue to be really good. Dak Prescott looks good. Chris hit us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line already at 4:56 this morning. Says, proud of my Cowboys. Offense is looking like it hasn't missed much of a step. Defense is way better. I honestly was expecting to get blown out. Looking forward to having a great season. Go Cowboys. Bill, what'd you make of the season opener?
Entertaining. I thought it was really, really entertaining. Prescott throws 58 passes, so who cares about this? What did he have, a labrum injury or whatever it was that they kept talking about all night that was basically more of a baseball injury than a football injury? But 58 passes, completed 42 of them. He throws for 400 yards. You got Tom Brady out there just carving up the I know that – who was the texter who just said or they just thought Chris. Sorry, Chris. Yeah, I don't know if I buy into that, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a true NFL team, so I don't mind watching a lot of NFL. I just pull for exciting games because I don't have somebody I'm just out and out rooting for, and I thought last night was a perfect way to start the NFL season. So a lot of fun, but Dak Prescott, man, that guy's. In a game that I thought had a bunch of impressive players, even in a loss, I thought Prescott might have been the most impressive.
Speaking of impressive, the Atlanta Braves win it in 10 last night against Patrick's Washington Nationals to go 9 games over 500. I'll check the standings just a second to see how many games in front they are in the NL East, but a big win for the Braves after blowing a 1-run lead in the 9th there. They come back, get a run in the 10th, and win it against the Nationals and continue to head right to the postseason, which is an amazing turnaround from where they were just 6 weeks ago, maybe somewhere in there. Maybe it was 8 weeks ago at this point. But big time night of sports that didn't include college football really last night. We do get back on college football tonight a little bit. But again, Bill, completely spoiled from week number 1. Got Coastal back in action tonight on ESPN2, hosting Kansas, and big favorites the Chanticleers are. And you got Duke trying to bounce back from that loss against Charlotte, also in action tonight on the ACC network at 8 o'clock against North Carolina A&T. Just a little appetizer before tomorrow. And the schedule, not nearly what it was again last week overall on Saturday. But from the Gamecock perspective, things very much cranked up with this East Carolina game.
Yeah, for the your answer that the Braves 3.5 up now on the Phillies there in the National League East after last night 74 and 65, the Phillies 71 and 69. The Mets, who are wildly entertaining, 70 and 71 and 5 games back there in the East. The Marlins and the Nationals not really contending anymore. But football is the key, I think. I think that's what we're focused on. And yeah, last night again was fantastic. Tonight, I don't think we're going to get the same excitement, Tim, with Kansas and Coastal Carolina tonight. But it'll give us something to watch. I'm going to be celebrating the daughter's 12th birthday, a little steak dinner somewhere. So we'll do that, and then we'll go into a pretty entertaining slate of games. I know you said you're right. It's not tomorrow is not like last week, but it's an early season kind of show me week for a couple teams that I'm just interested to see. Pittsburgh, Tennessee plays at noon tomorrow. A real test for Josh Heupel there tomorrow afternoon. You kind of go through the schedule, and you got a few others here as I get to them. Let me see here. What was the other one that I really liked tomorrow that was just kind of you do have some big ones, by the way. We'll get to those later in the program. But just a few others that kind of stood out to me. The Texas-Arkansas game, certainly Appalachian State is at Miami tomorrow night. And then another one just kind of interested to see because one is in the SEC and one is what I would label a local team up in Raleigh, North Carolina State at Mississippi State tomorrow night. So a couple ACC, SEC matchups there in Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and North Carolina State, Mississippi State. It should be pretty entertaining.
Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines, shall we? Marcus is going to lead us off this morning. Sorry, Lucas is going to lead us this morning. I'm off to a slow start. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning. I'm talking about how Carolina and they're playing East Carolina. We should win this game. East Carolina just lost their game 19-33. And it was against somebody that we probably could beat. And we're starting off dead. And then I heard we are gonna might put in Luke Doty. So I think it'll be a pretty good game. I hope we don't mess things up, but I think Carolina will do pretty good in this coming up game because now we have a coach that could give us these nice plays that we could accomplish.
Good thinking, Lucas. Lucas, I'm wondering, how old are you, sir?
I'm 12.
12. Excellent analysis so far. Lucas, who do you want to start at quarterback for the Gamecocks? You mentioned Luke Doty there. Do you want him to start and play?
Well, I would like Luke Doty to start, but if he's like hurt or something, and I would rather us get a lead out and then experiment on stuff in the game, other than start off and then just drop the whole thing and not being able to win.
Good call on that one, Lucas. I'm wondering, is there anybody at school you need to give a special shout out to this morning, or anybody in your family you need to say hi to on the radio?
I'd like to say hi to my dad. I've been trying to get. I've been on the radio a couple of times. We've missed each other on the radio. So he's out there listening at Clark's Auto Clinic. So if you ever need a car repair, go down to Clark's.
Lucas, throwing in the plug.
Get that in.
Well
That's
done,
good,
Lucas.
man.
You're a pro. You're much more professional than we are. Hope to hear from you again real soon, Lucas. Maybe even on Monday you can tell us what you thought of the game. Sound like a plan?
Yes, sir.
Good job.
All right, Lucas, at 12 years old, maybe our best call of the week. Certainly our most professional, even working in a plug for his dad.
That was smooth. It's very good.
Let's go to the other end of the experience spectrum. Our favorite 87-year-old caller, Gamecock Larry, also starting us off on the Love Chevy phone lines this morning. Larry, first of all, being the most experienced caller we have here on 107.5 The Game, how would you rate Lucas's performance there?
Outstanding. I really enjoyed it.
Agreed. So what about yourself this morning,
Yes,
sir?
sir.
You gonna give us a game prediction, a weekend prediction? Where you at?
Yes, sir. I don't. Lucas done thrown me off track. Boy, he's outstanding. But I'm gonna tell you, I've studied all this and listened to everybody talk. But I really think after it all comes down, I believe that Luke Doty and Kevin Harris is going to start. And they're going to play, I think, about maybe 5 or 6 minutes into the first quarter. And we're going to score. And I believe we're going to score. And we're going to score, go ahead about 10 points. And then we're going to start rotating them to running backs and quarterbacks. And the final score, I think, is going to be 37-20 Gamecocks.
37-20. Okay.
37-20. And now, as far as them old Clemson Tigers, but I got to say something about all these. I ain't heard a word from none of them. Rude Hall, Clemson Sean, Bulldog Burt, Bulldog Chris, all of them up there in Georgia. And I called them, and they won't even answer the phone. Or mailbox is full and all that. And I don't know how in the world they got a mailbox on the phone, because I always had a mailbox sitting out in front of my house. So I don't know what that means. But anyway, the mailbox is full. They ain't going to answer the phone. But I'm going to have to give old Clemson Sean a shout. He can call me about Saturday night or Sunday, because Clemson's going to win 44-10. 44-10. And then my grandson overslept this morning, Tiger Brett Bass. He overslept. I didn't put my text in. I've been up since about 3:30. I tell you what, I don't know what these young generations going to come to.
I know he didn't send the text until 5:11 this morning. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I was sitting here waiting for him to send it, and he had no, I don't know. He's just a young, I don't know what's wrong with these young people. I tell you what, they better wake up. But that's about all I got to say, but I'm going to get my schedule out here after and fill out the others. I'm going to see how close I can come to it, to making my pick. But that's about all I got to say. And Gamecock Nation, have a good weekend. You know, 107.5, have a good weekend. Just remember old Gamecocks said the Gamecocks going to win 37. I got to read it. 37-20. Go Gamecocks.
37-20.
All right. Go Gamecocks.
There he is.
37-20.
Gamecock Larry.
Take it to the bank.
Hey, young people out there not named Lucas, clear out your mailbox on your phone, would you?
It is annoying.
Come on. What are you doing? Get it together. And if you're going to oversleep and not text for Gamecock Larry until 5:11 in the morning, you got to step your game up. How dare you? What a great start to the show this morning. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join. Love Chevy phone lines or Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Love to hear some of your predictions. I know we got some of them yesterday. The conversation continues about the quarterback situation for Gamecock football with Luke Doty coming back from that midfoot sprain, officially questionable. The other option, the former grad assistant Zeb Noland, who, Bill, man, we are in such an interesting place right now in so many ways in this country, first of all, but from a sports perspective, I watched last night a Gamecock player and a Clemson player talk on the internet for about 20 minutes or so. Darian Rencher, the very outspoken Clemson Tiger, now has a podcast, I guess, during the season. He just talked to Zeb Noland. Zeb was sitting in the quarterback room talking to him on a podcast for like 20 minutes. They were talking about how much they hoped each other's programs do well, and they're looking forward to playing each other at the end of the season.
Kids don't understand a rivalry. Kids.
Well, first of all, Nolan's 24 years old.
Kids.
That's when you know you're real old, when you're calling 24.
I say that he's double the age of my daughter. I'm sitting here trying to make sure she knows that it's her birthday.
Hey, we'll give Bill a pass this morning. This is going to be the last year he will not have a teenage daughter or older.
That's right. Say a little prayer. Whew. I was explaining to her a second ago how I slept in an uncomfortable recliner at this time 12 years ago. So a lot happening this morning. We got the young, we got the old. They're weighing in. We got predictions. It is prediction day. It's time to. Are we going to make people give predictions on who the quarterback is going to be, or are we just going to skip over that one and go for score predictions today?
Yeah,
you got to get your. You got to get your poll question out too today. What will happen? You let us down last week.
You can't make someone make a prediction, Bill. You got to allow them to go whichever direction they want to. Okay, I'll put out the old Twitter poll question about what you think will happen in the game. We'll get back into that Friday season routine this morning at Tim Hill 107.5, where you can look for that, or up and rolling on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Twitter, the station handle at 107.5 The Game, where you can check out the video stream sponsored by Beaufort Lending. Friday's going to be a great show. We got Sport Court coming up, the dramatic conclusion of Doty v. Noland this week. It's been a week-long argument between Bill and Patrick. We'll settle it. We'll let lawyer Lisa settle that thing at 7:30 coming up.
Oh, that's what our Sport Court's going to be. At least I have now an hour and 10 minutes to prepare my constituents for when we roll into court. I watched this week with no football on Tuesday and Wednesday. I watched Cocaine Cowboys, the end of that. We've been talking about that on the live stream with that that Billy is Corbin.
Yep.
Corbin, I think.
It is.
Produced. It's on Netflix. And then you got me into watching that show Heist, where it's a bunch of different heists. But I watched the Bourbon Kings. So I've watched a bunch where there's been courts involved. I think I'm more than prepared this morning.
Fantastic.
Wow, what kind of prep? And eventually I would like to go back to how uncomfortable you were when your daughter was being born. How uncomfortable you were when your daughter was being born.
Is that what the
Yeah.
Oh, how uncomfortable. Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you were talking about when. Yeah. No.
I'm feeling really terrible for you.
It was a rough night. They put us in the hospital a little early, and went and got my wife at the time, got all her stuff, came back, and they had a little kind of hard recliner chair. It's a very long night. She had a full bed.
Yeah, full bed. Yeah. Well, I know you're trolling, so I'll stop here because otherwise I'd have to come pound on you. And
There's people coming in and waiting on her all night long,
yeah,
tending to her,
bringing her things.
Oh, it's tough life.
We'll send you to our first break with the former Gamecock, Ryan Suckup, and his game-winning field goal from last night's NFL season opener. You heard it right here on 107.5 The Game. Bucks 31, Cowboys 29. Ryan Suckup does it again. You're listening to the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
7 seconds to go. All will be put down at the 26, the 10 yards of the end zone, a 36-yard field goal. It is winless. The fluorescent orange telltales atop the uprights are limp. Trinner will snap it. Pinion will hold it. Suckup from 36. Ball put down in the grass. Right-footed kick is up, and it's caught! 2 seconds to go. The Buccaneers have taken the lead in what has been the 4th lead change of this game. 31-29. The champs on top of the Cowboys and 2 seconds to go. Ryan Suckup from 36 yards for Tampa Bay has given them the lead.
Local and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 The Game. Feel free to call.
Off and rolling. Some would call it a solid foundation to start this morning. I'm here to tell you about Canty Foundation Specialists. Go to cantycanfixit.com. So here's the deal. You got a house and you might be worried about some foundation issues. Well, first thing first, go ahead and get the experts out there, right? You want to go ahead and take care of this as soon as you notice anything like a crack in your exterior brick or in your wall above windows and door frames. Doors or windows that are sticking, uneven, bouncy floors, cracks over your garage door. You get Canty Foundation Specialists out there, and they'll take care of that issue because they've seen it all before. Got plenty of experience in this industry. They know exactly what to do, what to take care of it. And then most of all, they'll be able to give you the peace of mind instead of wondering, hey, I wonder if this is an issue. That is no fun to be. I've been there before as a homeowner. It is no fun to be. And what I came to realize is once I got the foundation experts out there, fix it, all that worry and all that conjecture, the speculation was the worst part. Once you got an expert out there to look at it, like, yes, we can take care of this. Here's when we're going to take care of it by. Here's what's going to need to happen. And you move forward. You move forward with your life instead of just guessing on what might be happening. Then you might have some crawl space issues right now as well. If you recently experienced a storm, you might have standing water under your home, high humidity and condensation down there. That's an environment for mold or mildew and pests. You don't want any of that stuff. That's another reason to get the Canty Foundation Specialist out to your house. Again, that's County. I can't count. I can count, but I can't say Canty. Canty Foundation Specialist. The website, cantycanfixit.com. Talking is hard.
That is. Talking is difficult.
Yeah, Danny, I recommend you go back and watch the original documentary. Amazing.
The original, I saw that the other day.
Never seen it?
No, I hadn't. I mean, I saw that there was an original, I guess, back in 2008, and this was more an updated one, I guess.
Well, it's just a different slant on it. It was so successful back in the day, and there's so much story to tell. He just kind of built on the success of it. There was also a Cocaine Cowboys 2. That one not nearly as good as the first one, kind of like The U.
Totally understandable.
The first one is wild.
I felt bad for Willie Falcone. Poor dude spent most of his time in jail, whereas Sal Maguda is just out there like running around, still living the life, living in the Ritz-Carlton.
Feeling bad for the drug kingpins, huh?
Got him on a simple firearms charge. Just held him in prison. Yeah, we don't know. Willie Falcone never really got to fully experience all the money.
You mean being a world champion of speedboat racing wasn't fully experiencing the drug kingpin life?
Yeah, that's probably true. I'm sure that was entertaining for a while. It was crazy that the other brother, Tabby,
Right.
basically just hid out for 25 years.
And then how it came up was like, oh yeah, they just found him. He was right down the road.
Yeah, he's up in Orlando. Him and his wife were on a bike ride. I was like, oh man.
Carlton, good call, giving us some 9/11 memories. Pager alert, huh? Wow. RL. So, Bill, you were still at USC, right?
Yes, I was. I was driving in. I was working at like computer services at the time. I think that was my sophomore year, my first sophomore year. And as I was driving in, they started talking about it on the radio, and then I got down to campus and obviously watched everything kind of transpire on television.
I was in Abilene, Texas, and my mom called me. She's like, "Wake up! Turn on the TV." Working the old late night TV schedule. Justin says he was in his 5th grade class. Wow, Justin. And what about you on 9/11?
I was working in the promotions department at B106. So I was in my office. I had, one of those little TVs in my office that I would have on, and just had on the Today Show, and everything started developing. So then, we were kind of scrambling, like, okay, how do you handle this on the air? So we were kind of doing all those pivoting, and my son was a little over 1. So it's kind of like, okay. And then my daughter was in school, but we're heading back in. But yeah, you kind of panic. Like, you just want to grab everybody and bring them close.
Morning, Patrick.
There he is.
Perfect timing. Heading in.
Great.
All right, guys, right?
Dak Prescott claims he's a better player this year. Last night, it was really tough to argue, actually. Tom Brady looking like he's only getting better the older he's getting. Was he hitting Gronk last night, making him look easy? And him and Antonio Brown? Patrick, you're the NFL expert on the program. What's going on here? We got the Benjamin Button effect going with Tom Brady. And you buying that the Cowboys are going to be good this year from your Washington football team perspective?
I think the Cowboys will be pretty good. I don't buy them as a contender. I think their defense is still way too suspect. But, I mean, last night was just great. I mean, we had 2 really good quarterbacks. Dak basically had 1,000 yards in 3 or 4 games last year. He was just absolutely ridiculous, was on pace to shatter the single-season passing record before he got hurt. So I'm not totally surprised to see him play really well. And Tom Brady, I don't know, he was just – 2 years ago in his last year in New England, we all said, okay, it looks like he's finally on the decline a little bit. And then the change of scenery pretty much switched that entire narrative up, and he looks as good as he's ever been. So We saw two great quarterbacks, and basically these guys are in the best positions of any quarterbacks in the NFL. The wide receiver groups on both sides last night were ridiculous. And then the cherry on top is Gronk for Tom Brady. So it really couldn't be better for any of them. Like Antonio Brown being your third receiver and having the kind of night he had it's just beyond spoiled.
5 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown for Antonio Brown. Chris Godwin also over 100 yards and a touchdown for the Bucs wide receivers. Gronkowski with 8 catches and 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the other side, it was another couple of receivers, more than 100 yards. Amari Cooper, 13 catches, 139 yards and 2 scores. CeeDee Lamb, 7 catches, 104 yards and a touchdown as well. Bill, is the NFL just turning into, has it just turned into, in front of our eyes in the last few years, a pass-happy league? Because you look last night, there were a combined 108 pass attempts and near 800 passing yards between these two teams.
Yeah, the answer is yes, and I'm not real sure exactly when the transition happened, but I would say it happened in the last decade, somewhere in there, probably even closer to the beginning. But look at the quarterbacks, Tim, that were rolling through the league in the last few years. I mean, last night you had Drew Brees doing some commentary on the game. You've still got Prescott who can throw it. You got Brady, but then go back Roethlisberger. Obviously, you've had both Manning brothers. It's been a great time for quarterbacks, guys who can really throw it around. And, last night we saw Tom Brady, who entertaining 22 years last night. They were showing all the clips, the old stuff of him. I think I even saw, I didn't listen to it, but I think I even saw somebody put up on Twitter an old clip of John Madden back from 19 years ago talking about how he thought Tom Brady would end up being a pretty good quarterback and just kind of crazy stuff. But I mean, that kind of correlates with it. The day of the running back is over, right? It's been over. Patrick, when do you have an idea of when this all really changed? Is there a time you could point to it?
Well, I don't know.
Because last night you got Zeke Elliott and Leonard Fournette. And Elliott especially, one of the better running backs in the league.
Oh, a well-paid running back too.
Yeah,
like a very well compensated running back.
And he was
11 carries.
Pick.
11 carries, 33 yards. That was his night last night. 2 catches, 6 yards. Pretty much irrelevant. And Tampa Bay, they both ran for about the same, 60 yards rushing for Dallas and 52 yards rushing for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, the downhill running back, I mean, Derrick Henry's keeping it kind of alive, but the days of just that being the focal point of your offense are kind of over. It's just you have to be able to do multiple things now because it's a passing league. So now all of the best running backs, basically except for Derrick Henry, are guys that can catch the ball. Like Zeke has never been great as a receiver, but slimmed down a bunch and tried to make himself more of a threat through the air. So yeah, it's just the way the game is played now. I think it's just, and also people just realize that running backs are more expendable. Like, first of all, they take the most contact, so they get hurt the most. And also they're very dependent on their offensive line. So if you have a terrible offensive line and a great running back, it's kind of useless. And if you have a great offensive line and a middle of the road running back, you're probably in good shape as well. So just I think analytics have pretty much killed that. That's what all of this is, I think, is math basically being involved in football, because it just always shows that running the ball is not as effective as passing the ball, and running backs are not that important.
Well, also, this was Book who hit us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. The rules change for the offense and the defense. Has handcuffed the defense right now, just the way that the passing game is allowed to kind of flourish more, and pass interference maybe more of an emphasis and less physical is how the defensive backs are able to play this thing. Speaking of defensive backs, Israel Mukuamu out last night for the Cowboys, did not play in that ball game and make his NFL regular season debut as a rookie from the former Gamecock perspective there. Rico Dowdle also out for the season with an injury for the Dallas Cowboys this year. Wanted to get back into the East Carolina, South Carolina discussion as we roll on this morning. A bunch of you have weighed in this morning with your predictions on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Whoever starts at quarterback, it doesn't matter. Sharp Spur says Gamecocks win at 34-17. says 28-10 Gamecocks. We're better than people think. It'll start to show Saturday. Go Cox. Billy, 31-24. Carolina. Nick, the only one going the other way. He says East Carolina, 31-28. Raphael, the closest prediction so far, 24-21 Gamecocks. And he says we need Lucas to be a regular caller like Gamecock Clear. So, Bill, what I'm hearing is pretty confident, I think, but also a lot of that confidence is hinging, I think, on this game, on the positive outcome that is from the Gamecock perspective. Do you agree right now from the Gamecock, where this Gamecock fan base is with all Carolina fans have gone through the last couple of years?
Well, I mean, it's like a step up from Kentucky, isn't it? Like South Carolina fans, even though Kentucky's won 7 out of the last 8 or something ridiculous like that, South Carolina fans look at Kentucky and like, oh, we should never lose to them. Well, East Carolina, you look at them, you had a history of beating them. I think right now South Carolina's won 5 straight, I believe, without looking that back up. East Carolina's not a Power 5 opponent. I know that sometimes that doesn't matter, but I mean, isn't that exactly what it is? South Carolina fans, even at their worst times, look at this and say, oh yeah, no, we should win this game against an inferior opponent. They might give us more of a challenge. They might not be Eastern Illinois and get routed 46-0. No, we should still win this game. So I think that's where you get the confidence from, and I do think it'll grow if South Carolina wins. I will be if South Carolina wins in some of the scores 34-17, 28-10. You have a really, really happy fan base for about 5 days next week.
Patrick, you agree? You with Bill on this one?
Yeah, and that's pretty much how I feel. And also just the fact that we saw them last week get crushed by App State, who is, yes, a very good team, but the way they appeared to have won was they just physically outmatched ECU, like crushed them on the ground, and ECU really couldn't get anything going on the ground. And that should be the one area where South Carolina, regardless of coaching or anything like that, can thrive. Like they're good on the defensive line. If East Carolina is able to run the ball against South Carolina after only putting up 86 yards against App State, that will be very telling. So I just feel like South Carolina is going to be the bigger, more athletic, stronger team, and that by itself should play an immense role. No matter who's under center, no matter what plays are called, just South Carolina will be the more physical, better team.
John from Somerville weighing in this morning, 803-404-6100. He's a Clemson fan. So he goes East Carolina 31, Gamecocks 14. Jeff flips that basically and says 35-17 final score from the Gamecock perspective. Patrick, what you just hit on there, I think is a huge determination for how we will see the 2021 season. If Carolina is not the more physically dominant team on the football field tomorrow, it is really easy to project forward that it's going to be a long, long 2021 season for this football team with the SEC slate that is ahead of them. Because it certainly doesn't get any easier. I get you're going on is week 2.
As a matter of fact, did you guys see if I told you now Troy is at home against Liberty. And we've talked a little bit about Liberty. Hugh Freeze, Malik Willis is back. And I don't know how good the rest of Liberty is. But if I told you Troy at home against Liberty, what would you estimate the line to be? The Vegas spread.
Great question, because Liberty is still in the top 25, correct?
Oh, I did not look at that. But,
I'm going to check it out right now.
They did not lose last week. I don't know why they would be out.
But the way this thing works is crazy, right? I'm going to say Liberty.
I do not see Liberty in either top 25. They're receiving votes in both of them. They're kind of close to the top.
Yeah,
they're not
so more like 30th, right around 30th in the country right now. I'll go. Liberty's favored by 3.5. Bill.
I was going to put it through the key number and give them a 7.5.
Yeah, 4. 4 is the number that we're looking for this morning. Liberty at 4. Just gives you an idea of Troy.
Lock of the week.
Lock of the week. Okay. Well, it's on the road,
The
but
Flames.
it does give you an idea there of when that Vegas over under was set at 3.5 and Tim, to your point, yeah, you're exactly right. For South Carolina, for everything that Luke Day has talked about, the strength and conditioning, yeah, this is one of those games where it is an SEC opponent. South Carolina's not Vanderbilt. South Carolina should go out and physically be able to push around the lines of scrimmage. and win the ball game that way, with both the defensive line being able to get to the quarterback and the offensive line being able to open some holes. Now that goes back to, I think, for them to offensive line to have success, you've got to have a downfield passing attack tomorrow to back the linebackers and to back the safeties off. Guys, last night we saw it. I mean, and Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels talked. I think Chris Collinsworth talked about it more, but the play action passing game that you saw last night. And it is kind of funny because you guys mentioned there wasn't much threat of a running game, but because of that, you saw multiple times play action pass, and both Prescott and Brady being able to zip it right over the middle to different receivers or to Gronk and be able to hit guys down the seam for big gains. It's going to be similar tomorrow. South Carolina's got to be able to utilize a little bit of play action passing, but at the same time, that offensive line should be able to give whichever quarterback plays time to throw the football, and the defensive line should be able to harass the East Carolina quarterback into some mistakes tomorrow.
Speaking of defensive line, Patrick, do you see your boys at PFF put Jordan Birch and JJ Enigbare, the highest graded out defensive lineman in college football and all of college football in week number 1?
Yeah, I don't know if that's more telling of their performances or just how bad the tackles in Eastern Illinois is, but I'm very interested to follow that for the rest of the year because there's some really, really good defensive linemen in college football this year. It's actually a much more talented group than last year. So the fact that they're the best too is pretty unbelievable. But Eastern Illinois is probably not of the same caliber as even some of the other FCS teams that like the Kayvon Thibodeaux or the DeMarvin Leals played. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But it's a very good start. That's hard to argue.
Chris on the Facebook live stream says, got a busy day today, guys, so I'll give my prediction now. 31-21 Gamecocks with Luke Doty starting on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Others of you go in a different way. Todd says South Carolina 31, East Carolina 6. Zeb will throw for 3 touchdowns. He'll earn the starting job against Georgia, will be the starting quarterback for South Carolina throughout the season as they go 7-5 or possibly 8-4. And Todd, being the Alabama fan he is, has a roll tide. An anonymous Clemson fan who last texted us in March about blind dates. He said, apparently we were talking about blind dates in March, and he said, yeah, I've had it both ways. Went on a blind date. That was absolutely horrid. 6 months later, go on another blind date, ended up marrying the woman.
All right.
Good to have you back in on the show, sir. South Carolina 31, East Carolina 21, he says, and then adds, go Tigers. So interesting, going with the head versus the heart prediction from the Clemson perspective. Also matching that same prediction of 31-21 that Chris just gave us. Off to some kind of start this morning. Right here in the middle of football season with the NFL kicking off last night in flying fashion. Love to hear your predictions as we roll on this morning. Bill, our resident recruiting nerd, going to give us some more information about last night's commitment. It's been a while from Gamecock football. Carolina getting a verbal commitment last night. Shane Beamer throwing up the welcome home for the first time in a little bit. Those details coming your way next. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. Right now, getting ready for school at my house, getting the 2 older boys off to school gives us a chance to have a little breathing room at the house and get it under control. And then the 17-month-old will absolutely just trash it, especially around meal times. That's why we need as much professional help as we can get. Zero Res, carpet and air duct cleaning, right at the top of our list. They've been to our house a couple of times, and Zero Res has done a great job getting our house looking and feeling its best, cleaning our carpets, cleaning an area rug, freshened up the tiles in the kitchen and the bathroom, and man, gave us great results. Really impressed my wife with those results. That's very important in my house. Also very important for Zero Res, their specific ZR water. They got a patented ZR water, ZR for Zero Res there. No harsh chemicals involved in their cleaning process. That's important to us around our house as well. No problems with those 3 boys rolling around on the carpets right after they were cleaned. Also, no leftover soapy residue. Our carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. And right now, Zero Res has a great deal for you. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. Check them out online, ZeroResColumbia.com. You can book your appointment right now or give them a call at 803-262-4020. That's Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean. Well, how about we all just enjoy the sunrise for a minute here?
Yeah, it looks like it. See what it looks like on the computer.
Oh,
See if it does it justice. Oh, let's turn it.
I'm not enjoying Patrick eating some chips, but
There you go. Yeah. There we go. Get the big picture in there. Yeah. Boats. Very nice. Very pretty. There's your Friday morning zen. Ugh.
just need to plug in the audio of waves crashing, which would make no sense at the lake, but would make it extra peaceful. Chips cracking, and where Patrick's eating right now. Where you going, barbecue chips?
4-inch Doritos.
Strong.
Do we know what we want to pick this week?
Do we know what we want to pick? I know
Nothing.
I want you to pick more than one correctly, like last week.
I got 2.
No, sorry. Well, I know Bill. I want Bill to pick more than one correctly.
Well,
Didn't 2 of us get?
Yeah.
Tim, you got 3, right? And Bill and I got 2.
No, I thought you guys both got 1 and I got 2.
Yeah, I think you're wrong on that there, Timothy.
Bill, you got South Carolina. That was it. I wrote them down. Patrick, you got Alabama, and that was it. I got South Carolina and Georgia.
Sounds right. Looks right on my sheet.
Write these things down because I don't trust you at all.
I don't blame you.
Well, I remember you did one better. I just thought we did one also.
1 for 5.
Well, now I got every team figured out. I just had to watch them.
Hadn't been a good start to the season on that.
I can't find a number for Clemson that's
Yeah,
readily available.
you don't have to put it in there. Or you can make one up. Either way.
I just spoke with
Not that many great games.
I just spoke with Lucas's dad,
Uh-huh.
and he said he is a red belt.
Oh, awesome.
He does drag racing. He does like about 75 miles an hour so far in drag racing because he's 12. Oh shoot, something else he does. Like, yeah, he has more energy than probably all of us combined. It sounds like so.
Oh, he's 12.
Well, and this is true, but my 12-year-old definitely would not have been up at 5:45 on school day.
Not just energy, but skills. He has more skills.
Exactly. Yep. He listened to the show because he goes to the shop with his dad. You know, the shop that he was savvy in promoting. It was kind of a fun conversation.
Yeah, I did not set that up. I had no idea. I thought he might say, I was thinking he'd say hi to his buddy.
Right.
Let's see, if you're 12, you're 6th grade maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe a shout out to one of his teachers at school who's a Gamecock fan or something. He just plugged that thing right in.
Yeah, I know that was skill. All right, we're about to head back in.
All right, Bill, you got Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah. I do.
Thank you.
guys are up.
It's probably that the game and we as fans are evolving, but it just makes me feel old when I just wrote the headline on the video stream. Gamecocks get commitment from Florida Edge. We're redefining players' positions now and just calling them an edge. And I believe that's what Brian Thomas Jr. is listed as, even though from a height and weight standpoint, a little bit undersized, it seems like, from that perspective for the three-star recruit out of the state of Florida. Bill, you got any more details for us about Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah, 6'2", 225 is what he's listed at, so he could play kind of the outside linebacker. South Carolina will likely need some linebackers, so it's just kind of this one's a matter of how much weight they can put on them. It's a projection. You get kids in the we go back with Jordan Strong. I know he was a transfer, but I think he came in around 225, 230, and within 4 to 5 months had bulked up to 250, 255. But this will kind of be a similar deal where you bring him in. When they say edge, he could be a linebacker. If he doesn't gain weight, he could end up gaining 25, 30 pounds and being an end guy. And when you think about South Carolina here in the future, losing J.J. Barre at the end of this year, certainly you never know. You have to kind of plan for these things. Jordan Birch could go pro after next year. Jordan Strong could certainly go pro. You got to be prepared. You don't want to be caught off guard having to hit the transfer portal very hard. You want guys in your system that you can develop, and so that's exactly what I think he is. Again, hard to say what he'll grow into, whether it'll be a guy that puts his hand down or kind of plays more of that buck outside linebacker position for South Carolina. But from Foundation Academy in Winter Garden, Florida, and again about 6'2", 225 pounds, chooses South Carolina really over West Virginia, the other team that really had been narrowed down to.
And Bill, he was the guy that was making the official visit last week. Is that correct? I know.
Correct. Yeah, and of course,
about that.
I don't know. I think people might be this might be a little bit of scar tissue from the Will Muschamp era, but he is the son of former NFL linebacker and defensive end Brian Thomas as well. So he's got an NFL father. So I don't think that ever hurts. A guy who can be around the program a little bit. I think people might be a little scarred from that, Tim, after seeing maybe some of the other guys come through in the Muschamp era, but that is something just to add that little piece to it. He does come from a football background there with a father who spent, I think it was 11 years with the New York Jets, I believe.
You got just Shiloh Sanders as the baggage there because DeMonte Staley's still in the program, pretty productive there at linebacker.
I don't know. I think anything
remember Al Harris Jr.
Al Harris
Jr. era wasn't just Muschamp.
I think just
JC
the
Horn
Muschamp era
obviously worked out pretty dang good.
I think the Muschamp era, just anything about it, people have a bad connotation with. But obviously, you're right. Sanders and JC.
So I think you just picked the one thing that they don't have a bad connotation with.
Really? Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like everything. I feel like everything about the Muschamp era, people are like, it's dead. Just move on from that. But don't do that anymore.
I think everyone likes having NFL guys around the program.
I feel like there was another one too. Am I forgetting another one? I feel like there was two more under Muschamp. I know Daquan Stewart, and I forget who his father was because it was a different last name. He never made it to campus, was the wide receiver, but he also had an NFL father. And then I feel like there was one other that I'm forgetting somewhere along the lines. Maybe you guys can help me out on that.
Should I know who Brian Thomas is?
Yeah, it's pretty good NFL career.
I don't know who he is.
Well, he's got a son that's already committed to college. Might have been before your time there, Patrick. You're 25 years old. We'll give you a pass on that one. And especially after breaking down the NFL season opener last night where Tom Brady outduels Dak Prescott. But, man, that thing was pretty epic and a pretty good way to kick off the NFL season for sure. A good way for former Gamecock Ryan Suckup to get started. Had recently come off the COVID list and then stuck a 36-yarder with 2 seconds to go to help the Bucks beat the Cowboys 31-29. And if you're going to come off a Super Bowl champion season, Super Bowl championship, might as well add a game winner in game number 1 in the final seconds there. If you're the Tampa Bay Bucks doing it at home last night, didn't look like Tom Brady was too into the pregame celebration and the festivities. I believe he was
locked in. That's what makes it the GOAT.
I appreciate that about Brady, as opposed to like faking it. He's not great at faking it, right? I mean, we give him a lot of grief for a lot of different things. No, Patrick, you're
No,
telling.
he's not good at commercials.
He is showing up in more of them. I feel like it's the Tampa effect. He's showing
I'm
up.
not buying for a second that he eats Subway sandwiches. Mostly because
No, he
told us
basically
that he
admits
doesn't.
this much
Yeah,
in the commercial, which makes it even
in his
funnier.
book.
Like
In his
he
book.
admits that he doesn't eat bread. He's like, yeah, it looks good if I eat bread.
Anthony says, we are a broken people. It's been part of our Gamecock football discussion, certainly this week from the quarterback perspective, maybe the dramatic conclusion of that coming up in Sport Court in about a half hour. It's the Earth Day on 107.5.
I'll be back.
Patrick, how you hanging in there, man?
All right.
Any coffee this morning? You going coffee less?
Yeah, it's still cooling down though.
Oh,
It's pretty hot right now.
you are a big temperature sensitivity guy, is what I've noticed with that coffee.
Well, it just got brewed. It's hard to drink.
Do you do the cold brew? To me, there is nothing more foreign than cold brew coffee.
I like cold brew coffee, but I can't cold brew coffee because it takes too long. I don't have the patience.
So it's not just regular coffee and then you wait until it gets cold?
I think you have to let it steep for like a day.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. But I do iced
So-
coffee here. If it's hot out, I'll just brew the hot coffee into a cup of ice. I like that. Waters it down a little bit, which is good for me because I drink too much. Generally, if you only drink one cup of coffee, iced coffee would probably not be the best because it is watered down, but it helps curb my caffeine intake.
Do you do it with other things?
What do you mean?
Other caffeine beverages? Like coffee's the only one that I drink that has caffeine.
Yeah, I mean, I was not really drinking a lot of soda before I got this new job, and now we have them in the fridge, and I get tired and just like I'll drink a soda at like 3 a.m. But other than that, no. I mean, I drink a lot. I actually do drink tea though.
So it's soda in
think-
Maryland?
Yeah, it's soda for sure. Not what? Are you pop?
It's pop up there. Yeah.
What's the caffeine? There's caffeine in like sweet tea, but not a ton, right?
I don't know. The question, I'm not a tea guy. I know there is caffeine in it, but I don't know the level. And then how do you get levels of caffeine? I don't understand that either.
Oh,
The different types of tea leaves, like green tea has more caffeine, right, than
Really?
brown leaves.
Got me.
I like all tea.
7 a.m. Carlton. 7 a.m. Bill and Heath, the pregame show tomorrow kicks you off. He'll probably actually go on about 7:25. We'll start with Lindy's football report.
I'm seeing 8 milligrams of caffeine in a cup of sweet tea, and then 95 in coffee.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So, I don't think the caffeine levels of the sweet tea are the big deal.
It's the sugar.
I think it's the sugar. I like raspberry tea the best, though.
Or just shaking in my head. I like his motor. There's a message board comment about the new
Is there another big good game that stands out this weekend besides Ohio State, Oregon, and the Iowas?
Nope.
Texas, Arkansas.
I put Mississippi State and NC State on there.
Okay. Trying to switch to let's see. I mean, Pittsburgh and Tennessee is not doing anything for me.
I like it on there though. This week,
Why so?
Heupel, beginning of him, he gets no credit for a win there, even though I don't even think they're favored, are they?
Where'd it go? Pittsburgh's favored by 3.
Right. Nationally, I mean, no one's going to say, "Oh, look at Josh Heupel in Tennessee beating Pittsburgh," but Tennessee fans will not be happy they lose that game.
App State Miami's actually could be a decent game.
I'm good with that. So why don't we go with those?
Wait.
Carolina game, Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi State, NC State, Pitt, Tennessee, and then App State, Miami.
No, we got to do Ohio State, Oregon.
Okay, so drop one of those.
There's also a top 10 matchup in Iowa.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's your favorite of those, of the Tennessee, NC State, and Miami?
What's the line, NC State, Mississippi State?
All right, I'm going in order because I'm just scrolling this way. Miami's favored by 9 over App State. Texas is a touchdown over Arkansas. And NC State is – that one go.
I'm guessing it's close line. Let's go NC State. And,
1 point.
Yeah, let's go the closer line. Let's go the Pitt, Tennessee game and the NC State and Mississippi State game. Ohio State, Iowa State, and then Carolina. Got it?
Yep.
Thank you. Not that you're going to write it down and remember exactly how many you got correct, just going to hype it up.
If we went through last week's, I would remember what I picked. All right.
Ezra?
Exactly, Aaron, on the YouTube live stream. This is why you check out the video. He says, "Wow, look at that sunrise over Murray." It might have been just disrupted by Bill sitting down to do the show. I was thinking that we weren't going to make it back in time. No, you're good. You're good. As we rolled into hour number 2, this has been, I think, the most fun week I've had on this show. And I can't tell you how long. I'm trying to think back and remember how long it's been since it's been fun to talk about just college football and then to have a bit of a quarterback controversy for Carolina where it hasn't been, I don't know, contentious might be the right word. Like, to me, Luke Doty and Zeb Nolan are both good stories and easy guys to pull for. You guys understand where I'm coming from here? This is not a Jake Bentley, Michael Scarnecchia discussion that we had where it seems like there's some shadiness going on and one guy is not getting a fair shot. And from what we've been able to see, like a guy came through and won a game in the SEC and then right back to the bench. That didn't seem very, very fair. And Scarnecchia seemed like an easy guy to pull for. And the underdog story wasn't getting a shot. That's the last time I can remember having a discussion like this. But it wasn't near to where the program is from just a good vibes feeling. Now, obviously, it's Shane Beamer's second game, so it's a much different place than where Will Muschamp was that year number 3? I think it was. Maybe, yeah, year number 3 with the Bentley Scarnecchia situation. Are you guys with me on this? Are you with me how fun this week has been going back and forth about this and knowing where the program is coming off the first shutout since 2008, the first block punt since 2014? A lot for Gamecock fans to feel good about at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if fun is the word that I would use to describe it, but sure. I think
You got dominated.
Yeah. So I think there's two parts. I think the fact that it's an opponent South Carolina should beat with either quarterback, and just the fact that they're 1-0. I mean, like, it's kind of, I don't know, at times, and we don't know the health of Luke Doty. This isn't so much. I think most people know that Luke Doty will end up will be the guy that is supposed to be the future of the program. We'll see if that comes to fruition, or if Colton Gothier or Braden Davis ends up beating him out at some point way down the line. But just focusing in on this week, yeah, I mean, it's a lot better when you're 1-0, probably when you're going to play East Carolina, as opposed to next week when you're going to play Georgia.
Okay, Patrick, what about you? You've come to this show much more recent, or come to Sports Talk Radio much more recent than Bill and I have, and don't have quite the history. You weren't here for the Spurrier years and enjoying all of that. So maybe you look at it a little bit differently, having just been exposed to the Will Muschamp era to this point.
Yeah, but I thought there was a lot of optimism every year. Like, I feel like, in looking back upon it, I haven't seen great days of Carolina football, but I was also the era after Spurrier, so we always felt like we could get back to that level. So I feel like this time of year, every year, has been high levels of optimism. I can't remember a year that going into it, I was like, we're going to stink this year. I feel like this year has weirdly been the team that I expect the least out of since I've been here 6 years. And yet it's still just so fun to talk about. There's nothing like it. Nothing matches the in-season shows.
So when was the last time that Carolina started 2-0? Let's go there. I've seen this year popping out.
2017, they beat NC State and Raleigh and went to Missouri and beat them. I heard the stat last night. It's the opportunity. I think it was Todd Ellis. This will be the first chance. Or if Shane Beamer were to win tomorrow, he would be the first coach to start his first year 2-0 since Richard Bell did it in 1982. Well, was that right? It doesn't feel right.
I think that's right.
But yeah, it was Richard Bell, and I want to say it was 1982. But which again, I'll fact check that because I heard Todd Ellis say last night, but I thought Joe Morrison came in 82. So anyway, you got that. But yeah, you got to remember, South Carolina did have a string of 2-0 starts there under Spurrier. That was obviously broken in 2013 when South Carolina lost on the road at Georgia, and then 2014 was the Texas A&M game.
Well, and a lot of this has been a product of the schedule, right? I mean, we would all admit that Eastern Illinois and East Carolina, the two easiest games on the Carolina schedule to start in a long, long time. Let's be very real about that. I get it that this one's on the road, and the line has swung kind of back and forth with Carolina opening as a couple of point favorite, then swung over to East Carolina. Bill, have you checked this morning? Is it back over? Is it still over for South Carolina for a couple of points right now?
It is.
Richard B hits us up.
Richard Bell
82.
Richard
And
Bell
then
was
Morrison
82. 83. So quick turnaround there.
But that's the one thing that you leave out of that stat, right? That was Richard Bell's only season as the head coach. Not just his first season, it was his only season. So not necessarily an era or a coach you want to be compared to, but that's what the numbers are. From the Carolina career standpoint, last coach to start 2-0 his Carolina career was Richard Bell in 82.
He beat Pacific 41-6 and Richmond 30-10 to start his career. Then he lost at home to Duke 30-17 and Georgia 34-18. I guess the big blow that year was they lost to Furman at home 23-28. The line that you asked about still hovering around 2. I feel like I'm doing a weather report the way I've had to read this week. I think FanDuel has it at 1.5, but the line basically sitting at 2, 56.5 depending on where you look at, is currently the over-under.
So that's the Gamecocks favored by a couple of points, where this thing has gone back and forth a little bit this week. That's why I'm really interested in the early results here. Man, I didn't quite expect it to be this dramatic. What'll happen tomorrow between the Gamecocks and East Carolina is the poll question. Up and rolling at Tim Hill 1075 on Twitter. You got 4 options. 3 of them are a South Carolina win. It's just by how many points. And then the last option is East Carolina wins. Right now, that's at less than 7%. The Gamecocks winning a close game by 1 to 3 points is 1.5% of the vote. So let's do the math there. That's pretty much 91% of the vote right now, maybe 92%. I guess if I do the math correctly with the decimals involved, are the Gamecocks winning by 4 or more. Between 4 and 10 points, getting more than half of the vote right now at 55%. Gamecocks winning by 11 or more at 36% of the vote. Bill, I think this goes to speak of not necessarily 2021 and analyzing these two programs and where they're at as we sit here right now and who's going to play quarterback for the Gamecocks and the whole thing. But somebody hit us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, like, why is an SEC team in South Carolina going to East Carolina? I think this is a perception thing by and large, and what East Carolina has been in the last handful of years, not who East Carolina was before then, that Shane Beamer wanted to remind everyone this week about the program that has beaten Virginia Tech a couple of times, beaten North Carolina and North Carolina State here within the last decade, because once Ruffin McNeil left, the program kind of fell off a cliff. Mike Houston fighting to get it back there, and Shane Beamer trying to make sure his players understand where it has been in years past. I think Gamecock fans understand or hope it's going to continue to be where it has been in the last couple of years. Vegas is, I think, about as on the nose here as you can get with the current analysis of both these programs. It has it so close. That's where my head is at on this thing. What about you, Bill?
Well, let's go back. The texter asked about why is South Carolina going to East Carolina. Look, this is how college football is starting to kind of go. They're starting to look just this weekend alone. Florida is going to South Florida, making the short drive down south to go play at Raymond James against South Florida. You had Oklahoma last week was supposed to go play in Tulane. Now that game ended up being moved because of Hurricane Ida. But you're kind of seeing this a little bit more frequently with some of your bigger name teams taking these trips to AAC teams. I mean, I guess it's one thing for like a Big Ten school to go to a MAC school, but the AAC done a decent job. I mean, we haven't talked about it, but what appears to be the expansion or realignment or whatever we want to call it now with Cincinnati and probably Central Florida. I think Cincinnati is supposed to be official today. Have you guys seen that? To the Big 12. It looks like the Big 12 will announce that officially today. But the AAC had done a fairly decent job of being able to help their teams promote and get some other teams in there. So I think that answers that when you just kind of look around at some bigger name teams making the trip down to AAC type teams. So you've got that going. But Tim, I think it's entertaining. I'm kind of laughing. You see the predictions, and I don't think a lot of people, there's not many. We know a few people that have called in or text in or weighed in on the live stream, and maybe they're a little out there and they'll say something along the lines of, 9-3, 8-4. But I think one thing about the people making predictions today, when Shane Beamer was hired, you didn't want the honeymoon to end in Greenville at the East Carolina game. You understood it could end in Athens. That was kind of understood, like, oh, yeah, the third game of the season against Georgia, yeah, that might not go well. But I don't want it to end this weekend. Now's not the time where we want the first loss to come. So let's just go ahead and predict a victory and believe that our team, even after what happened under the previous regime, is good enough to go into East Carolina and win. Next week, we'll deal with reality. Let's stay right now in an area where it's still beautiful and it's hand holding and sweet notes to everybody, and the marriage is still all good.
Also, the fact that East Carolina opened up on Thursday night against Appalachian State, and Appalachian State had no problem. East Carolina scoring the bulk of their points, making it a 14-point game kind of late, but it was clear that Appalachian State was the better football team. I get it. There were some penalties called and some big plays called back for East Carolina, but we all watched the game. And if those guys had been going back and forth a little bit, I think there would be much more of a case right now from a Gamecock standpoint that losing to East Carolina wouldn't be the end of the world. I think that's how a lot of Gamecock fans feel in a big way going into Saturday's noon game right now with the optimism and wanting to get behind a new coaching staff and believe that things are going to turn around and get different. You also got the results. And a 46-0 win over Eastern Illinois was fun and worth celebrating for sure. But now it's on to the next level, another level that Gamecock fans feel like they should win and be successful against. And that's part of what makes this thing fun. The other part is where the quarterback situation is for sure, and then what the defense will be against a step up in competition. We'll continue to discuss those things, get back into last night's NFL season opener where a former Gamecock helps the Tampa Bay Bucks win it by 2 over the Cowboys. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
College football playoffs.
Clear.
Oh, I asked you the other day, and I'll ask again. Do you know exactly what algaecide is used for in your pool? Do you use it to prevent algae? Or if you have algae, do you use it to treat the algae? These are questions I can't answer. And quite frankly, your own pool store cannot answer because they don't actually look at your pool and tell you what may be going on. That's why you need to use Corley Pool Solutions. They've been providing South Carolina pool owners with superior pool services since 2001, 20 years of experience. If you ask Tracy Corley what algaecide is, he'll explain it to a T. Trust me, he did it to me a couple of weeks ago. I still don't understand, but you know what? I'm not the one coming to clean your pool. Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions are, and they are the experts. They have a background in pool construction, pool renovation, service, and repair. They know everything about it. So when they come out to maintain your pool, and even though it's going into the winter, you still want to maintain that pool, they will do a fantastic job. Give them a phone call today, 803-445-8109. Flat rate pricing, including all the chemicals. That means all those chemicals you might go and overspend for at the pool store, because again, the pool store people aren't looking at your pool. They don't tell you exactly what you need or how much you need. You might overspend on it. Nope. You can go straight to the source. Tracy Corley will come look at your pool, tell you exactly what you need, how much of it you need. And you know what? Again, it's flat rate pricing, including all the chemicals. So right now, don't think about the fact that summer's over. Think about next spring and having that pool ready to be used when we get back around to that season. You want to maintain through the winter, not let it get murky and have to spend extra to have it cleaned up when we get to March or April. Right now, give them a phone call, 803-445-8109. That's Corley Pool Solutions.
All right, so you guys good? Patrick, I got you for Luke Doty. Bill, I got you as Nolan, and Nolan versus Doty.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I might throw a curveball, Chell.
Okay, I'll be the witness if you choose to call one. I'll be a
You might
much
call it what?
style witness. What's that, Patrick?
Bill said I might throw a what at you?
Curveball.
You just playing mind games.
I'm just going to speak.
Well, you can't join my side though.
I'm not joining your side. I haven't been on the side all week.
Your curveball in courtroom can't be, well, Your Honor, my defendant, the defendant is not guilty, but I don't know. He's a little shady. He might have
I
done
don't know.
it.
After watching some true crime documentaries lately, I don't know if I can defend everybody.
Dude, how about those lawyers in that Cocaine Cowboy stuff, man? The bald-headed dude especially.
Was that Albert?
Yeah.
Was it
So
Albert?
shady, aren't they?
Oh, dude. But it's funny. I will give him credit because the way they did the documentary when they're talking about him winning the first one, it's like he's bragging about it. He's like, yeah, we whipped their rear end. Then they get to the other one. He's like, yeah, man, I'm not going to be part of a jury that got tampered with, or I'm not taking extra money. I'm going home where I can spend time with my family.
Are we doing
It's almost
Larry
like
Lisa next?
Yeah, technically we have another break to get in.
Oh, it does feel really good.
So Jim would like to come back with the Ryan Suckup kick.
Okay. Yeah, and that next break is like 5 minutes, so we'll want to keep this segment short.
Okay.
And yes, I will do the suck up kick coming back.
Thank you.
I think we kind of need to touch on what happened in Baltimore yesterday and the fact that
Yeah, good call. We'll do that here.
One of the more average running backs South Carolina has had is now starting as the NFL running back.
Good call. Mark, plug your ears, man. You can take a break. You don't want to hear it.
Oh, it feels fantastic out there today.
It does.
This is like incredible football weather. You're going for that. Sorry. I'll get out of the way. Yeah, the sun is up.
Well, wasn't the Clemson Georgia game supposed to be? Didn't they announce that they were going to wear all purple and all red uniforms?
I think that was just I don't know if they announced it. Why? Because you saw East Carolina's wearing all purple tomorrow?
No, I didn't even see that. I'm just watching Clemson Georgia's on the SEC Network right now.
Yeah, I saw that a little while
ago. I just thought about that.
So, Bill, are you feeling lost that we do not have a uniform announcement?
I didn't really care about the uniform announcement. I just cared about what it looked like. The actual announcement never really affected me.
Clemson should have gone for it on 4th and goal from the 5-yard line. Could have gotten shut out, but no way they were getting back there again.
Oh, yeah, Gamecock Larry told me I made the wrong NASCAR pick this week.
Oh, he told you made the wrong one?
Yep.
Who'd you pick? Byron?
Byron. I think he's got a axe to grind.
That's how I feel about Kyle Busch.
Uh-huh. He's got to earn some money. You know, he had the $50,000 fine, so. All right, suck up.
Suck up. Oh.
What the hell?
7 seconds to go.
Bro.
The ball will be put down at the 26, the 10 yards of the end zone, a 36-yard field goal. It is winless. The fluorescent orange telltales atop the uprights are limp. Trinner will snap it. Pinion will hold it. Suckup from 36. Ball put down in the grass. Right-footed kick is up, and it's good! 2 seconds to go. The Buccaneers have taken the lead in what has been the 4th lead change of this game. 31-29. The Champs on top of the Cowboys and 2 seconds to go. Ryan Suckup, 36 yards for Tampa Bay, has given them the lead.
The former Gamecock adds to his Super Bowl championship by starting off the next season with a season-opening win and a field goal in the final seconds there. Mr. Irrelevant, hardly anything but irrelevant in his long career that just continues to glide, to soar. No, don't know exactly what verb to use there because I'm confused. Not just what happened last night. Last night was a good football game. Not surprising that Ryan Suckup came up clutch there from 36 yards. But what went down in Baltimore yesterday from the NFL standpoint, Patrick, I know that's back near your homeland. Even you, who you despise Ravens fans, is what I've gotten. You say they're the absolute worst. You got to feel a little bad for them, don't you, now, with all these ACLs that have gone down? And it's former Gamecock Tyson Williams that's the big winner in all this, isn't he?
Oh, it's unbelievable the point that he's gotten to now. Yeah, it's just an awful day. I can't even imagine. The most important practice of the week before basically the walkthrough on Friday, and on back-to-back plays, Gus Edwards tears his ACL, and the next play, Marcus Peters tears his ACL, and they just end practice. Like, just absolutely brutal. A week after, I guess 10 days or so after, J.K. Dobbins tears his ACL. So just the whole way this transpired, I mean, the Ravens were stacked at running back last year, ended up releasing Mark Ingram because they said, sorry, we've got too many guys. J.K. Dobbins was the man. He tears his ACL. Then they say it's fine. Gus Edwards has had 5 yards of carry his entire career. He'll be the man.
Lisa's on the phone.
Justice Hill, their expected third stringer, tore his Achilles, and he got cut as well. And all of a sudden, Tyson Williams, who was, okay, if not just straight up mediocre at Carolina. Was anybody ever watching him play and saying he's going to be in the NFL one day? I can't imagine so. He had like 800 yards and 4 touchdowns in his 2 years at Carolina. So he goes from basically practice squad to maybe the edge of the roster on the outside looking in, though, to starting running back and going to get a lot of attention and the lion's share of carries in Baltimore on a Super Bowl contending team just out of nowhere. It's kind of a wild couple, really just week for him.
No doubt about it. It kind of reminds me of Mike Davis last year in a lot of ways, right? When Christian McCaffrey goes down, and then he just really, really solid and more than solid for the Carolina Panthers. I'll be surprised, though, Patrick, won't you, if the Ravens don't make some sort of move and try to get somebody.
They have.
Right, they already have at running back?
Yeah, so they immediately signed Le'Veon Bell to the practice squad,
right,
which means he was on their radar, but nobody really wanted him after his stupid Andy Reid comments and just basically his attitude the last couple of years. They signed Devontae Freeman, who was great a couple years ago, but injuries and just a lot of carries throughout the years have taken a toll on his body. And then yesterday they signed Latavius Murray as well from New Orleans. So I think their running back room is ultimately going to be okay if they bring those 3 guys in. But Tyson Williams is going to be the man this week, I think. And if he plays really well, then he can potentially earn himself a starting spot, or at least the opportunity to split carries for the rest of the year. It's, no matter how you slice it, it's a potential millions upon millions of dollars opportunity for Tyson Williams, because Mike Davis made himself $5.5 million by playing well in Christian McCaffrey's absence last year. We'll see if Tyson Williams is built the same way.
Yeah, Davis going to the Atlanta Falcons, that contract you're talking about there this year, and will be fascinating to see what Tyson Williams does with this. A lot of you listening to that kick from Ryan Suckup by the great Kevin Harlan on Westwood One Sports Network from last night on 107.5 The Game. Craig says, does that announcer talk to his wife like that? I don't think that's how that works. That would be weird if it was. And then Kevin says, did y'all realize who Suckup's holder was? Yeah, Bradley Pinion there from Clemson. Quite the combination for the Super Bowl champs. And Pinion, I think, booted all of his kickoffs out of the end zone or for touchbacks, like the other part of his job there, along with punting and holding.
Well, his first punt was unbelievable.
His first punt was Hall of Fame.
Coffin cornered it with a all-out rush. got it off and coffin cornered on the very first punt of the
You
year.
can tell
Like,
he
that
was
might have been the
serious.
best punt of the whole year.
Yeah, it might be. He might have.
And it
won
was
the
the
award.
first punt of the year.
There you go. I
It's
love
very
the
solid.
hyperbole to begin. We'll see.
No, it was amazing. Watch it. It was
Yeah,
it was
you do
incredible.
need to go watch
Oh,
it. Like
I believe
that
you,
was.
but it's a punt.
It might have been. It's only 2021, but it might be the best punt of the decade.
Unbelievable. We'll see what you guys can do
Ever.
with that hyperbole when it matters most. Sport Court, Episode 2, coming up. Nolan versus Doty. Bill versus Patrick. Is that dramatic enough? Here on the early
Yeah,
game.
it's overly dramatic given how I may treat this thing.
It's 107.5 The Game.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball on Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Wake up, maybe you're going to a football game, maybe you're going to set up the house, you're going to have tailgating going on, you're going to be watching game, maybe you're going to have a 3 or 4 television setup like Patrick does. All of that means you better get a great night of sleep tonight. Sleep is important. Makes you a happy person the next day. You don't get a good night of sleep, you are a grumpy person. Nobody wants to be around you, the cat, the dog, the friends, especially your football buddies. They don't want to be around you. You need a great night of sleep. That's why you need a Sleep Number bed. It's helped me get fantastic nights of sleep to wake up rested, refreshed, ready to do a sports talk radio show. It'll have me ready to go tomorrow morning when we do the pregame show at 7:30. It'll have me fired up and ready to go tomorrow for a full day of football, all because I got a great night of sleep with the Sleep Number setting on 45, and I'm ready to go. You can do the same. Discover the Sleep Number 360 smart bed now during the final days of the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed plus special financing. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. This deal ends Monday. You've heard me talk about Sleep Number. Now's the time for you to go find out for yourself. It's a great opportunity to discover the Sleep Number 360 smart bed during the final days of the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale. Again, save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed. 2 stores to choose from. One in Irma on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, 2 Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Now's the chance to make that switch. So go ahead, make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like. All righty. I'm going to get a little bit more coffee to deal with this segment.
Oh, nice work. Morning, Lisa.
Energy.
Morning.
Oh, gotcha. You got us?
I'm gonna do it on the phone though, right?
Yeah, once we go on the air, I just need to mute your mic that you're on right now so we don't get any feedback.
Okay.
It's a little goofy, I know. We're trying to work it out.
Sounds good.
Oh, she's got the coffee going. Did I see you popped on the blazer?
Yeah, you know, I gotta get ready for my day.
Very, very judge-like. I like it. I'm sure most counselors are wearing Carolina hoodies like Patrick and sitting right in their sunroom like Bill.
Not really proper court attire there, Patrick, but whatever.
What's the worst you've seen from lawyers? And have judges gotten on them? Have you seen any good ones?
About what they wear?
Yeah.
Not usually.
Right.
No, I haven't had any. No, I don't think I've had any where anybody was dressed inappropriately that was a lawyer. Now, like clients, yes, but that's more criminal court and like magistrate's court.
Right. Any great examples?
So nothing like my cousin Vinny.
Right.
Not like that.
I would love to see a lawyer come in a Hawaiian shirt one day, though.
Yeah, just not around here. I don't know. Maybe in California that happens.
Yeah. Is it a rule? You can wear whatever you want, I assume, or is there actual dress code?
I mean, it's probably more unspoken. I mean, it's just like your court.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's court attire.
Yeah,
Now, how many? What?
Today I'd be in my Lawyer Lisa shirt.
How many judges would you say are unreasonable when it comes to the courtroom attire expectation? Percentage-wise, we talking 50%? We talking 10%?
I feel like it's most judges will let you wear what you're gonna wear. Usually.
Okay.
Oh, Josh wants me to be dramatic today.
Nice. So you're gonna try to be like Bill. Got it. What's up, Josh?
What's
There's
up?
the Lawyer Lisa shirt. Now,
Hey, you like that?
yeah. If the ruling's not going well, we got the whole family. Nice.
Well, baby girl's still downstairs, but I gotta go.
Awesome. Just drop the kid off and say see ya.
That's that little baby. You remember?
That's crazy.
That is
But
crazy.
I totally believe it though, because my 17-month-old is hurting my back when I pick him up.
Yes.
Craig asks, "Are you keeping up with the Murdaugh situation?"
You know I don't watch the news.
I hear you. No, like
I don't know what's happening with that specifically, but
it's like the #2 podcast in the country right now, and like true crime stuff.
But not surprising.
Right.
Yeah. We're about 15 seconds from the return.
I think you might be overthinking that, RL.
I'm gonna mute this.
All right. Taken to the phone.
You guys are up.
We've talked about it all week. Some of you feel like we've talked it to death. I think we appropriately think we've given it the proper amount of
and even the proper tone. Look, whoever starts for Gamecock football at quarterback this weekend, to me, again, is easy to pull for. You can pull for the Zeb Nolan story. You can pull for the Luke Doty story. They're pretty likable guys. They like each other. I am fascinated to see how it ends up with Doty coming off the mid-foot sprain, Nolan, the former graduate assistant, 4 touchdown passes in week 1. This is our Sport Court episode number 2 topic, Nolan versus Doty. Please hit the music, Jen. Oh, we're working on the music. We've got to order in the court, first of all. Order in the court. There we go. Counselor representing Luke Doty, Patrick Perrette. Opposing counselor representing Zeb Nolan, William Gunter. William, since Zeb Nolan is the starter from last week, we'll let you go first. But first of all, let's all rise for Judge Lawyer Lisa as she enters the courtroom here. Judge, any opening remarks?
Tim, thank you very much. I've been looking forward all week to hearing this case. And I'd really like to hear what Patrick and hopefully Bill brought his A game today have to say.
I like the tone of the judge proceeding the arguments. All right, William, you're up first.
I mean, it's a simple case, and it's not even about defending Zeb Nolan. Our wonderful judge, exquisite judge, always immaculately dressed when she comes into the courtroom, said it best last week. It's about winning. It's about winning the football game. That's all it comes down to. It doesn't matter if it's Zeb Nolan. It doesn't matter if it's Luke Doty. It doesn't matter if Shane Beamer finds himself an extra year of eligibility and decides tonight he can play the quarterback position. What matters is winning. It's not about the Georgia game. It's not about the future. It is about tomorrow and getting to 2-0, something that has not happened for a first-year head coach since 1982. 2 years, or the year that I was born, 39 years. It's about winning tomorrow.
And if it's Zeb Nolan, who started last week and played fine, if it's Luke Doty, who was named the starter previously, that's fine. You know what's important in this case, Judge? As you once said, it's about winning. And that is all this simply comes down to. Play the guy that will win you tomorrow's game, and we'll worry about Georgia on Monday morning, and we'll debate Georgia next week. I am all for the quarterback that wins the game tomorrow, Judge. You said it best last week. You were fantastic when you said it. You were as beautiful as ever, of course. You knew exactly what you were talking about, and you had the point made for me. I appreciate you weighing in last week. I will use your argument. It is about winning tomorrow, whomever it may be, Zeb Nolan or Luke Doty or Shane Beamer. If they want to pull Luke Day out and let him play quarterback, I'm all for it, Judge.
The opening
that's where
lawyer.
we're going.
Interesting tactic, completely sucking up to the judge with flattery. Also,
Thank you, Bill.
not even defending his client at all. I'm interested to see what opposing counsel will do. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Yeah, that was a solid 3 minutes of pandering with zero substance into any of the words that were actually said. It is simple. It is about winning, and the quarterback who has been your starter for the last, 4 months, 5 months, he gives you the best chance of winning. And you know what? The future is important too. Okay, your 24-year-old grad transfer quarterback who has no eligibility left after this year was a great story. It was fun that everyone got to say South Carolina's got a coach playing quarterback, but he's not the future. Luke Doty, your 4-star, highly recruited quarterback from in the state of South Carolina, grew up a Gamecock fan, has been a Gamecock for several years, helped build this recruiting class around him, is the future of South Carolina. And the idea that he cannot start and win the game against East Carolina, first of all, is discounting the other 21 guys that start for South Carolina. They can go out there by themselves and beat East Carolina. So why would you not play the future, the leader of the team, who has been crowned the starting quarterback since before summer practice, since last spring? It's his job. Because he was hurt, he does not lose that job. I'm not even going to get into Zeb's performance against Eastern Illinois, which was good, not great. But Luke Doty is the guy.
Taking the high road. Patrick
Must
Perrin.
be the guy.
All right. I think it's time to move on. Let's call the first witness. That's me. Would any of you guys like to question a witness, or are you just guys going to go gas baggy hot take lawyer?
No, yes, I have a question.
I'll allow it, even though I'm the witness.
What does 100% healthy mean?
100% healthy. I'm glad you asked, counselor. 100% means all the way, the most you can be. 100% healthy means completely healthy.
So if you're 100% healthy, another week of rest, you'd be more healthy, yes or no?
No. Yes. That makes no sense, sir. No. If you're 100% healthy, you're 100% healthy. You can't get more healthier. That makes no sense.
Again, I present evidence, Russian Olympic athletes who continue to get healthier and healthier with the use of their particular performance-enhancing drugs.
Sir, are you advocating PEDs in college football? How dare you? I object to the conjecture, even though
wait a minute, you can't object.
Objection.
You're the witness.
I object.
I don't think you can object either.
I object. They are not healthier.
Let me ask
their
the witness
performance is
this.
higher, but their long-term health is being severely damaged by what they're putting in their bodies.
Let me ask the witness this. Is there an issue with going with Zeb Nolan as a starter while using Luke Doty in and playing 2 quarterbacks in this game? Is a 2-quarterback system acceptable in this game?
Great question, counselor. Finally. I'm very surprised and kind of thrown off by a good question here, finally. Possibly. Yes, sir. From an offensive coordinator who has said he doesn't want to go with a 2 running back system, I would be highly surprised if Marcus Satterfield prefers a 2 quarterback system over one guy getting in a rhythm and getting into a flow in the game, especially when that guy could be inexperienced, like Luke Doty, who's only played 2.5 games, or even a guy coming off and shaking off some rust who was recently a graduate assistant coach. Sir. Any more questions, counselors? All right, let's go to final arguments.
I don't know. My question would be: is Bill going to make a point during this segment at all?
Easy.
I don't understand your hate for Zeb Nolan. Your Zeb Nolan hate this week has been out of control.
Yes, please, gentlemen. Gas baggy lawyers. Let's let the judge speak. Yes, lawyer Lisa.
I would like to hear Bill take a position on this before we have closing arguments or at closing.
I would like to see Zeb Nolan start with Luke Doty having a significant role in this game.
Okay, that was a good closing argument. Patrick, you.
I think my case has been made. Both quarterbacks are capable of winning the game. I believe that because I believe in the rest of the roster. However, Luke Doty's the future. Luke Doty can do more. He can beat you with his arm and his legs. Zeb Nolan cannot. Therefore, there's absolutely no reason, if 100% healthy, which we have determined is 100%, meaning you cannot get more healthy from 100%, there's no reason to not start Luke Doty.
That was a pretty weak final argument by my commentary here. I'm wondering what lawyer Lisa thinks. The final ruling here in Sport Court, episode number 2.
Well, this is really bad, guys. And my ruling is that, sometimes in life you just don't have a great counselor to advocate for your position. And that really changes the ruling. And in this case, Patrick, your arguments are really the only arguments on the table. So I have no choice but to rule in your favor today. However, my prior order from last week remains. And so I'm still ordering that the Gamecocks win at least their 6 games and make it to a bowl.
Okay, I think we all understand that definitely predicates a win this weekend if Carolina's going to get the 6 on the season. Lawyer Lisa, the final ruling, any comments there from the losing lawyer over there, Bill Gunter?
No, I'm just not going to put down a player in the manner that Patrick has all week on Zeb Nolan. I think that's unfair to Zeb. I think it's just been unfair to Zeb Nolan. But whoever starts, I'm all for, because you know what? At the end of the day, I support the coaches. I'm not a college football coach. I'm just not going to put down a player in the manner that Patrick has all week.
So
Bill, you did.
Bill, even in losing, he thinks he won. Lawyer Lisa, thank you for your time and your ruling. Some words of wisdom here. LawyerLisa.com is the place to go. For those of us who aren't very smart, what is estate planning?
We can help you with any of your legal matters where you're planning for the future. So that could be when you get older, if something happened to you, if you got a sideline injury and you had a concussion and you couldn't make decisions. We can plan ahead and put people in place for that so that you don't accidentally get Bill appointed to be the one making decisions for you and you really don't want Bill to do it. We can make sure that you pick the right people and that the right things happen in the future.
Fantastic. I see what you did there. Great dig to get out on. Lawyer Lisa, Sport Court, thank you for your time, counselor and judge. We'll do it again next Friday, 7:30, Sport Court here on the early game. Dramatic conclusion of hour number 2 coming up. It's 107.5.
Charge.
Free of charge.
Thanks, guys.
Nice work, Lisa.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Nice job. Hope you had fun.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Do it again next week.
All right, bye.
All right. I got to move. Y'all seen the
Couldn't even take a side for the bet.
I'm not taking a side that I don't believe in.
That's why you're not a lawyer.
No, that's why I wouldn't take the case if I was a lawyer.
Nice work,
Clearly
man.
not an actor.
No, I'm not putting down a kid that I'm not sure is. I don't know if he's good enough to continue to play.
When does a
I didn't put
kid
anybody
become a man? He's 24 years old, not far enough.
You'll put down me. You put down me when I was 24.
You're not playing a football game.
Right, you're
That
an
makes it okay?
intern. You're just a
So it's
lowly
about-
intern.
Yeah, so it's about the age. It's not about the age.
It's about playing football.
It's about your status.
So it's okay to criticize a 24-year-old who doesn't play football, but it's not okay to criticize a 24-year-old who does play football.
That is exactly right. That I could have taken to court.
That is the most irrational thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's why we got to have judges in on this show. Easy, Anthony. We don't need name calling.
I think he was angry that I made the comment about the Russian Olympics. That's the only thing I can figure out that's what it was.
Yes, Anthony is, I think, a very Russian name. Patrick, I think you're getting a bunch of wins on the text line here.
I kind of hinted that I wasn't going to probably go the direction that y'all wanted me to go on that. But I don't know if I necessarily believe that Zeb Nolan should start. I just don't know if it should be Luke Doty. I really don't think there's a difference this game.
You didn't have to put down Luke Doty for the sake of arguing Zeb Nolan's side for 5 minutes.
Oh, not going to be someone I'm not, Patrick. Not going to be someone I'm not.
The most principled man in the Midlands.
Thank you. Stand up for what I believe in.
Which was what?
Start Zeb Nolan, but play Luke Doty.
I didn't hear that at all.
Zeb could be the next Chris Winkie.
That is the worst analogy I think I've ever heard.
But it might actually be right. He's right. That could be right.
It's not right at all. At all. Zeb Nolan hasn't played minor league baseball. Chris Winkie never lost a job in football. Never a college job.
I mean, there's no precedent for.
I mean, just a bad analogy all the way around.
I'm with you, Ferrari. I'm on board.
And Winkie was like 27, I believe, right?
Yes.
Was Winkie all the way up at 27?
Yeah, man. He played a bunch of years in minor league baseball. He was way up there.
We're about to head back in.
Thank you. Oh, finally. One in support of I'm with Bill.
That's all right.
But the point that Bill refused to make.
Right.
No, I made a good point. They just win the game. Start Shane Beamer.
Guys are up.
Got to be the first time in history that a legal argument has been just win the game.
Yeah, I'm against winning the game.
Greg with 2 G's says, I'm with Gunter. Start Zeb. Trey says, you play to win the game. Start Luke. Period. Full stop. This is why it's been a fun conversation this week. And I say fun. I get that you over dramatic listeners out there saying, stop being a dead horse. I can't believe you guys are just talking about this. Well, to me, you're going to complain about anything because if we don't talk about Gamecock football, you're going to complain as well. The point to this thing is, first of all, we're talking about football during football season, and we can get invested emotionally in what ultimately will be a relatively innocuous decision, right? I mean, Bill, I've stated several times this week, I think it's much more important how the Gamecock defense plays as opposed to the Carolina offense, because we all know that the Gamecock defense dominated that first game, right? I get it. Total turned out to be pretty good. Zeb Nolan threw 4 touchdowns, but they played on a short field for most of the game. You had a pick 6, you had 2 block punts, you had another pick 6 called back. The defense dominated that game. And I don't think anybody thinks, no matter who starts at quarterback for Carolina tomorrow, Bill, I think we can all agree on this. that the Gamecocks aren't going to have a dominating offense.
Well, and again, this is I don't know. There is an element, and I'm being serious about this, of Luke Doty starting that I think potentially gives you a more dynamic offense. But it's like Trey weighs in on the live stream and says you play to win the game. Start Luke. Period. Full stop. What has Luke Doty done ever that's told us he's that much better than Zeb Nolan?
He hasn't had the opportunity. That's the whole point. Like, you have one guy who has been billed as the future of the program and has all the tools, and they've crowned him for the last 5 months, and you have one guy who's 24 and came here to be a coach.
That's like me being around a bunch of fifth graders, be like, oh, look at him. He's the tallest of all of them. He's got a future.
I don't even understand what you just said.
Because Luke Doty is better than the guys on the South Carolina roster. South Carolina's quarterback situation has not been great.
So why'd you not play the best guy who came here as a four-star recruit and is supposed to be the future?
They're going to keep arguing during the break. Hour 3 coming up next. There will always be some sort of controversy around the Gamecock quarterback if there can be. So I think even if Doty starts and Carolina wins, there will be people out there that said, I think Zeb Nolan could have done better.
If you lose to East Carolina, it's a horrible situation no matter who the quarterback is.
No doubt.
I had an echo. What did you say? A horrible situation? What?
No matter who the quarterback is. But if you start Zeb and you lose to East Carolina, it's worse.
No, because I think there's at least the belief. If you do that and you say that Luke Doty wasn't 100%, right? That's why you did it. Then there's at least
say that.
Yeah, there's at least the possibility that a healthy Doty makes the offense better, right?
It's scary if he does not.
Right.
Got about 28 hours to let people know that he's not 100% because as of now, we're thinking that he will be.
Yeah, I think I've heard enough. I'll be honest. I think I've heard enough. I don't think he's close to 100%. I actually, regardless, don't think he'll play. But I could be wrong. There's so many people that are just saying, I've heard this or I've heard that. I don't know.
Right, but that'll be the easy out for the coaching staff, right? Luke wasn't 100%, so he wasn't really an option.
Well, yeah, but if he is 100% and that's your public line, that's where I think you do hurt your team. That's where I think you hurt your team. Like Patrick said, if he's 100%, and then you have to say, if he's 100%, you don't play him, then you have to say, like, well, we just thought Zeb was the better option for this game. He can't be 100% and then you not play him and then come back and say, yeah, like you can't lie to your team about that.
No doubt. I think that's some Muschamp leftover stuff, man. I don't see that happening.
It just makes the narrative from last spring hollow.
No doubt.
But no, it doesn't, because Zeb Nolan, not that I think Zeb Nolan is like head and shoulders better than Luke Doty, but you're comparing a quarterback situation back then that's different today.
Yeah, it's definitely different, but Patrick is saying that where he believes Zeb Nolan is should not be anywhere close to where the coaches were saying that Luke Doty was going into this preseason.
But why is
also,
that?
What do you mean? Because they had the chance to watch him. They watched him play at Iowa State and North Dakota State, and they
said he was done with
you'll be a
football.
great coach.
He said, like, I guess the question would be, if Zeb Nolan had been here in the spring and gone through, would they feel the same way?
But he was playing football in the spring, and they watched him play. They evaluated him, and they said, yeah, you'll make a great coach.
How do we know they evaluated him? How do we know
Because they
his dad is
evaluated
good?
St. Francis
His dad is
2
good
years
friend.
ago.
His dad is good friends with Marcus Satterfield. How do you know that Zeb Nolan didn't just say, "Hey, I'm done with football. I want to get into coaching," and then just said, "Hey, can you get me on the staff at South Carolina?"
Because he jumped at the opportunity to play quarterback as soon as it was offered to him.
I mean,
you think
again,
he would? Do you think if they offered him a scholarship, he wouldn't have wanted to come play quarterback here? He was like, "No, I'll be a coach. That's fine."
He's not on scholarship now. They could have easily
That's
brought him
the
in as a
point.
walk-on then.
Well, they
He
could have
come as a walk-on,
but they didn't. You think they
It's
didn't
just
evaluate him?
you're making a lot of guesses on this. It's kind of like with the Doty stuff. Like the 2.5 games that we saw with Luke Doty tells me nothing that he's been better than what I've seen from Zeb Nolan in his career. There's nothing Luke Doty has done in his 2.5 games that leads me to believe he's that much better than Zeb Nolan throughout his career.
Yeah, that's fair. That actually is fair. But what Patrick is saying is if that was the coach's evaluation, that is how good Luke Doty was going to be, that he wouldn't have been declared the starting quarterback going into the preseason, going into the summer. That he's obviously proven more than that to the coaching staff.
There's clearly been a misevaluation by this coaching staff if that's the case, because
agreed,
they would have missed on Jason Brown. They brought him in. He's clearly not even close. They determined that Zeb was not. They could have brought him in as a quarterback. If his dad is friends, they could have said, all right, bring him in. Can't give him a scholarship, but he will be in the quarterback room and he'll have a chance. They didn't do that.
Right. We know he can have that quarterback. That's what we need right now. That's what you're saying should have been evaluated if, in fact, Zeb Nolan can beat Luke Doty out right now.
Yeah. And you can't tell me they didn't watch him play. They have never had a chance to evaluate him as a player because they watched St. Francis from 2 years ago. They didn't watch North Dakota State from last year.
Patrick, they took Jason Brown in January. You act like all these things happened at the same time. Everything evolved. Everything has evolved over 9 months. It's been look again. This is what has really ticked me off about this week and this argument. And why I really didn't want to do the last segment was because I'm not advocating against Luke Doty, but to act like there's so far there's such a separation between the two, I think is just completely unfair and wrong. Like if Luke Doty starts, I'm going to be all for it. I'd probably rather see Luke Doty start because I always like seeing the unknown. But the bottom line is we act like you're acting like there's such a difference when things have evolved over 9 months. And they're different today. Things are different today than when they took Jason Brown. And I guess they brought, and maybe Jason Brown hadn't picked up the offense fast enough or something. You're right. Maybe they made an awful evaluation. I feel like we're jumping to a lot of conclusions here when things have evolved over 9 months. I don't think Zeb Nolan is the future of the program, but I also can't say for certain that Luke Doty is.
No, agreed there. But if that is the case, then Patrick's conclusion that this program is in much bigger trouble than he wants it to be is absolutely true.
But that's very likely. That is very likely the truth. What you just said is most likely the truth.
We're in the open.
That means it's most likely that Doty's not going to be good or the future.
And I will call
that they're in trouble. The quarterback position, yes.
That's wrong, man. He played a whole season in the spring there.
We got Deering.
Yeah, I'm going to call him here in a second. You guys are up.
I'm not sure if it's a good sign or just sad that we can just continue the radio show on the live video stream for however many straight minutes that was. That's as sportsy sports talk arguing as we get. Bill is frustrated with the entire conversation. What it ultimately comes down to, what I just took out of our conversation, is this is not a conversation about Zeb Nolan versus Luke Doty necessarily. I think, Patrick, especially from your standpoint, this is this quarterback situation satisfactory or above, or is it below? Is that a fair way to put where you're at right now, Patrick?
Kind of. I mean, I feel like it's almost the same situation as last year, but I'm on a different side of it now. Like, there's something to be said for the mature, experienced quarterback that will just make the right decisions and whatever. But we're not talking about like Mackenzie Milton or someone who's played high-level football that is going to win you a bunch of games and is incredibly talented and has been successful. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. So I feel like if all things are equal, you always go with upside and youth because there's at least way more potential and there's a lot more to build off of than that. I
wait
like
a
the
second.
Zeb Nolan story.
Right. Let me
But
stop
there's
you right
nowhere to
there.
go
But
from there.
Bill, having seen the past, right? How many different guys are you going to put on that list? Connor Mitch, Lorenzo Nunez, Brandon McElwain. Last year, Ryan Helinski, I guess the year before, right? That you think the odds are more likely that Luke Doty is going to be the next in that line as opposed to the first quarterback drafted in the NFL since 1989 at the University of South Carolina.
Let me repeat, and I said this yesterday, and I was trying to think of it honestly for Sport Court, and I just remembered the analogy I made, and I don't know if you guys will agree with this. I'm being dead serious. This reminds me of the conversation we had in December with Mike Bobo versus another offensive coordinator, and at that time, I said I like Mike Bobo not because I think he's going to be dynamic and it's going to be fun to watch, but it's because I know what I'm getting with him. I know exactly what I'm getting with Mike Bobo. I don't think there's going to be some flashy offense with Mike Bobo. And there was people like, no, we've seen it. I'm done with it. I've had enough. Bring in, I think at that time it was Lincoln Riley's brother out of SMU, I believe is who a lot of people were promoting and cheering for. And it was fine. And I said, no, all I'm saying, I guess, is maybe it's a personality thing as we sit here and we break this down all week and I start to reevaluate myself now after what we've done. But like I knew what I was getting with Mike Bobo. And I think, and again, I know we're going back and forth between tomorrow and the future. I'm a believer that, Luke Doty may very well be the future, but I don't know if he's ready for tomorrow. With Zeb Nolan, I at least know what I'm getting tomorrow. I know what I feel like I know what I've got. Patrick, I think that's to your point.
Which is what?
I think there's a lot of you. Zeb Nolan likely tomorrow goes out. If it's a close game, let's just say it's a close game. I think with Nolan, I'm getting 15 of 24, probably 2 touchdowns and maybe an interception and about $180 or 200 in passing. I think that's what I'm getting. I'm not getting a quarterback who I expect to go out and win the game. I'm not getting a quarterback also that I think is going to blow me the game. I don't think Colin Hill lost South Carolina games last year. I don't think he won them games, but I don't think he lost them games, if that makes sense. I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I think we have to admit too that there is a lot of Colin Hill, Ryan Helinski baggage in this conversation, and these are two different guys. Won't necessarily follow the same path that happened last year. It's man. We need to take a quick break from this. We'll get back to it. Okay. We got our buddy Chris Deering waiting on the Love Chevy phone lines. It's Friday morning. We got high school football going down. Chris, it seems like I'm seeing fewer cancellations out there because of COVID issues going into tonight than we've seen in the first several weeks. Is that fair? Is that what you're seeing as well? Thanks for keeping me straight on that one. It might just be that I've been so used to seeing these things in the last few weeks that I've been conditioned to expect them, and it's not as noticeable for me and my brain as it was in the first several weeks. So the games we have left this week, Chris, what stands out to you as some good matchups as we continue to talk high school football at C Deering 82, where you can find Chris and his work with Prep Red Zone?
That
a lot of people might say on paper is a mismatch because it's a 2A school against a 5A school, but Ridgeview's going over to Great Collegiate, and that's what I don't think we've ever seen before, Tim. But there's a lot of great players in that game. It should be an entertaining contest. I don't think Gray obviously has the depth that Ridgeview has, but KZ Adams, he's a Georgia State commitment. He's got almost 600 yards rushing on the season already. He's a really good back. He may be he is one of the best backs in the state. He's probably in the top 2 or 3 in my opinion. And then Ridgeview, they sort of tweaked their offense a little bit. They run and shoot a little bit. Andre Washington, he's going to South Carolina State. He's really good at quarterback. And they got a bunch of receivers. Case Smith, Zion Agnew. It's just he's got a lot of weapons in that offense to use, and Ridgeview's been pretty good this year. I actually think Ridgeview is a team that has a chance. Once we get to, region play and postseason, I think Ridgeview's a chance. They have a chance to make a lot of noise in the playoffs. Some other games, Lower Richland's at AC Floor. Lower Richland's 3-0 this year. They finally, I've been ranking them for a couple weeks now, but they finally got enough votes in the poll to be ranked this week in 3A. They're number 9 this week. They have a lot of talent. I went and saw them last week. They got a 1-2 running back punch of Lamarion Pearson and Jeremy Barney. Robert Adams was a quarterback over there. He's really good. And then Nate Branch, he's a junior wide receiver. I was really impressed with what he could do last week. And then Florida's defending 4A champion. They've only played once so far. They've been off since they played Sumter a couple weeks ago. So hopefully there's not a lot of rust on AC Floor, but talking to some coaches over there, they won basically a championship last year on a really good defense. And they are talking now that this defense this year could be a little bit better than last year's. They don't have the defensive line that they had last year, but Jacob Crofy, Terrell Green, Tyler Robinson, those guys in the back 7, they're really good. They're talented. So that's going to be a big challenge for Lower Richland. Brooklyn Casey is going up to Chapman. That's a top 5 game in Class 3A. Chapman's really explosive offensively. Brooklyn Casey beat Blythewood last week 14-3. So that should be an interesting game, but BC's got to go on the road again. And then Keenan at C.A. Johnson. A couple of teams that don't get a lot of pub around here, but they got some playmakers on both sides of that ball too. So should be a good night for football. Weather's nice. I highly suggest people get out and support these athletes because it's really a trying time for them right now. And anytime you can get out and support them, I'm all for it.
He's Chris Deering at CDeering82 on Twitter, where you can follow him. Prep Red Zone is where you can follow his work these days. You mentioned Blythewood High School in there. Their head coach, Jason Seidel, weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line a little earlier, talking about wishing luck to Jalen Brooks, his former high school player when he coached up in the Charlotte area for a few years ago. Chris, we appreciate all the information. You want to leave us with your take on Gamecock football, especially with the quarterback situation being what it is headed into tomorrow's game against East Carolina?
Well, I voted in your poll already this morning. I saw what the poll was out there about what the outcome will be tomorrow, and I actually voted that I think South Carolina is going to win by more than 11. I don't have to be objective anymore. I'm not covering the Gamecocks like I used to do in the past. At the end of the day, guys, this is still East Carolina. I mean, that's what people need to remember. And SEC team should go out and beat East Carolina every day, all day. But as far as the quarterback situation goes, this is 2 weeks in a row. I don't know how I keep agreeing with Bill. I think Zeb Nolan is the quarterback. And I'm not sure 100% healthy Luke Doty is the quarterback when everything's all said and done. And I've heard Patrick's argument. The reason Luke Doty was QB1 all summer and for 4 months, Zeb Nolan was a coach. He wasn't on the roster. So that's changed in the last 3 to 4 weeks. And I think Zeb Nolan might be your answer going forward.
Chris Deering, Appreciate the time, the phone call on the Love Chevy phone lines, and the information about high school football, especially the opinion. I don't think Patrick appreciated there at the end. Would you prefer to give counterpoint other than Zeb Nolan was actually playing this spring during that time for North Dakota State and then ended up getting beaten out at quarterback?
Yeah, that was pretty much my point.
That is a big thing.
They could have brought him in as a quarterback if they evaluated him as a good SEC caliber starting quarterback.
It's a big thing for sure. How it'll play out this weekend is fascinating, continuing to get a bunch of opinions in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Yesterday, Patrick was saying, Dan says, that Luke should start as soon as he's 100% healthy, and that it would be a bad situation for him if they start Nolan this week and then started Luke next week with his first starts going against Georgia. My question, Dan says, if he's not 100% healthy this week, but he's 100% healthy next week, should he start against Georgia or should he sit one more week? Would you like to answer Dan's question there, Patrick, in your opinion?
If he's not 100% healthy, then you don't have to play him, I guess. You've got an out there.
No, that's not the question. The question is, if he's 100% healthy for the first time next week, do you start him against Georgia or do you give him one more week? I'm assuming Dan's theory would be so you don't get your first start against one of, if not the best defense in college football.
I mean, I guess it would have to depend on how Zeb plays this week. I just hate the idea of Luke after 2 starts and one half being his freshman year in a COVID season, half of which he played wide receiver, and then his first start when he could have played this week, wasn't 100% healthy potentially, but could have played, and you're going to put him out against 15 to 18 NFL guys who just shut out the Clemson offense. Like, that's just setting him up for failure. I absolutely hate the idea of it, but at the same time, the upside that he could bring to the offense at least gives you more of a chance of scoring points against Georgia. So I guess I would be in favor of starting him.
Can you guys help me out with Trey, who's yelling in all caps on the YouTube live stream? He's 100% healthy. We don't know that. Like, I get that he was expecting to be. But, Bill, you're kind of on the other side of this thing, right? You think you're hearing enough that he won't be 100% healthy. Is that where you are?
I don't think he's going to be 100% healthy. I still wonder, being serious, they could have put this all to bed, just said, hey, if Doty's 100% healthy, he's the starter. You didn't even have to name a starting quarterback. You just the fact that they have not even been willing to say that hey, if he's 100%, or have I not read into that enough? Am I clueless on that, where they're basically saying, hey, if he is 100%, he's definitely the starter?
I don't think we've heard it put plainly that way, but that's definitely the gist that I've gotten through the last several weeks anyway. I didn't hear anything. Let me go the other way. I didn't hear anything from either Shane Beamer or Marcus Satterfield that made me doubt that. Evaluating Zeb Nolan in game number one.
Like, I guess, Patrick, you talked about how they named Luke Doty QB1 spring and summer, but now that Zeb's been here, they could have put all this to bed last week. They've been asked about it. Hey, when Luke Doty's 100%, is he the starter again? And the answer has been, well, we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I mean, you really, honestly, if and again, it's fun to talk about, Tim. I do agree with you. It's been nice to talk about this as opposed to whatever we talk about in the summer and the spring. But the bottom line is, they really could have put all this to bed if they didn't want the fans or us going over it. They could have just said, hey, when Luke Doty's 100%, yeah, he's the starter. He's QB1. Say what you want. Remember that Bentley-Scarnecchia situation? Say what you want. Muschamp basically was like, yeah, Bentley's 100%. He's the starter. That's the bottom line. They haven't done that in 2 weeks. They could have done it last week, and they haven't done it this week.
Let you hear exactly what Shane Beamer was saying about it last night. Carolina calls, the last kind of public comments we get from the coach before the noon kickoff against East Carolina, unless you get a pregame interview or two. I guess we will have the pregame interview on the radio, and then I would imagine maybe on TV you get a quick word from Shane Beamer before the game. But one of the last public comments, I guess I should say, about this quarterback situation and the health of not just Luke Doty, but running back Kevin Harris and maybe a couple of others from the Gamecock perspective. It's coming up next. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Dan Patrick.
Oh, it's stressful. Actually, it's not stressful at all. It's sports talk radio. It's fun. We debate. We kick around. There's far other things in life that are stressful that can cause a little bit of neck and back pain. And if that's what you're experiencing right now, it's time to go visit Dr. Pate and Roman Cooper with the Casey Chiropractic Center. That's right. Each one of them, 21 years of experience, 42 years combined. They are going to make sure they get you healthy and up and running again. The doctors at Casey Chiropractic Center are dedicated to helping you and your loved ones get out of pain and stay healthy so you can focus on enjoying your life. And if you're enjoying your life, you're probably doing what we've done all. You're debating the quarterback situation. South Carolina or any other school. Doesn't matter. You need to feel healthy. You need to feel rested. And that's where Dr. Pate and Roman Cooper with Casey Chiropractic come in. Give them a phone call today and line up that appointment. 803-796-2424. Back pain, arthritis, sore muscles, accidents, or you just want to feel great again. Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman, they are the ones to go to. You heard me mention 21 years of experience. They have no excessive care plans. They're going to work with you. They're going to pay. You're going to pay as you go. They also file all major insurances. Go visit Casey Chiropractic Center. You can visit them on the web, learn a little bit more, CaseyChiropracticCenter.com, or call today and schedule that appointment. 803-796-2424. Get back to living your life. Enjoy. Don't feel that back pain, arthritis, sore muscles, or anything else. Feel great again. Do it with Casey Chiropractic Center.
All right, we got to go back to this since we put it up on the screen during the segment. It's definitely not highly doubtful that they had an evaluation on Zeb Noland as a quarterback. Because one, that's the job of any college football staff in the transfer portal era, is to be aware of everyone and everything that's going on. And two, Shane Beamer said that they had talked about moving to Zeb, or the possibility of it, when they brought him on as a coach. So they at least knew what his capabilities were. And at that time where they said, hey, maybe down the road we'll need to put Zeb actually on the field and give him a practice jersey, they deemed that he wasn't good enough to be a player at that time. So they definitely watched him play. It's not highly doubtful.
I mean, Beamer was on the Oklahoma staff in that Iowa State in Noland's best game as a college quarterback, no doubt.
Right.
Maybe he wasn't. Was he? You think he's still at Georgia there?
No, he was still. I'm pretty sure he was still at Georgia.
I think so. It was just 3 seasons ago. Wasn't he at Oklahoma 3 years? Maybe not. 21 years and 7 different schools? 3-year average is there. Maybe it was
He went to Oklahoma in 2018.
Right, and that's when that game was.
Tim, I actually think that game was in 2017, to be honest. Let me go back and look.
Oh, man.
I'm not positive on that, but I feel like in looking at it, because I think he transferred. I think he played more than that. He played again in 2018 and then got beat out by Brock Purdy in 2018.
No, I got it in 2018, September.
Okay. Well, I wonder.
Because when I was talking to him, I was like, how'd you end up in South Carolina? He's like, back in Iowa State, saw Beamer at Oklahoma.
Yep, that's it. Yep, he went over to Oklahoma in January 22nd, 2018.
I got some kind words from Bruce Gilbert. He said he listened to yesterday's show and was wildly entertained about our conversation.
Well, that's good. That's good.
And also the fact that we were self-aware of how kind of ridiculous it all is.
Also good. I feel like that's a positive.
Does he know who I am now?
Yes, Pearson. You are Pearson.
Great.
What's the other name you get called? Pearson, Patrick, or
Did he say that yesterday?
No, he didn't. I just like messing with you. Especially coming at it so self-conscious. Does he know who I am now?
Well, if it's a dumb caller saying Pearson, I'm like, all right, whatever. But if Pearson's getting credit for me being entertaining to the head of sports programming at our station, that would be a bummer. I don't need Pearson getting extra props for my performance.
Every time somebody asks about you, I was having to explain you yesterday because I was explaining you do our show, your own our show, but then if you get heard in the afternoon, you're producing. I was trying to explain, like, break down everything you do. And I can't remember Patrick Pearson. And there's a third name you get called. It's a P. It starts with a P.
Preston.
Yes, thank you. I was like, no, he's definitely not Preston.
All right, Andre's on the line.
Yep.
Got it. Let me type him up here.
Sport Court is on the podcast page.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you causing you great pain this week. I feel like I'm going to have to get a bumper sticker made that says, like, honk if it pains you to agree with Bill.
My horn would totally like wear out.
About you might agree with me, but you won't like it. I like that you don't like to agree with me.
We're heading back in. Is there a cut you're looking for?
Patrick, do you have the games we're picking? I walked away at the top of the 8 o'clock hour or something. Did we come up with 5 games?
Number 4, please, Jeff.
Straight in.
Ohio
Yes, ma'am.
State, Iowa State, Tennessee, and NC State.
Okay.
And we'll hold it to the next segment.
That's
you guys
fine,
are good with it?
Cut 4 coming in.
Harris is full go. He's had a great week of practice. He's there. He's on no rep count or pitch count or anything like that. So Kevin will play a full game based on the rotation and how Coach Hardesty and Coach Satterfield are repping those guys. But he's had a great week and is excited to go. And then Luke's been out there at practice. The biggest thing with Luke is just feeling 100% and being able to go out there and do what he needs to do if needed. So he's been out there at practice. He's a little bit sore. Continued to knock the rust off and things like that, but he's in great spirits and feels great. And like I said, has been out at practice this week, not in a boot. He's been in football shoes and running and doing all that. It's just a matter of him being well enough to feel comfortable to put him in the game because East Carolina's got a veteran defense that speed to it, and we don't need a gimpy Luke Doty or any quarterback out there.
Shane Beamer, Todd Ellis last night on Carolina Calls right here on 107.5 The Game, courtesy of Learfield Sports. Yeah, when I hear that, football shoes, that's a pro, I guess. The con, if needed. And Bill, that's kind of been your point, right? That has added an extra layer here on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line from Willie. He says, saying when Doty is healthy, he's the starter, goes against the competition culture Beamer's trying to build and demotivates the other quarterbacks. I think Gamecock Don getting to more of the heart of this thing, saying, is it possible that Doty is 100%, but Zeb had a better week of practice and gives them the best chance to win? I don't think Beamer adds in if needed, if that's not possible, and kind of is to your point, Bill. Is that what you heard there from Shane Beamer last night?
Yeah, but again, I think there is a part of gamesmanship happening here. Look, let's go back. I know that people are talking about the future, like play Luke Doty because he may be the starter for 2 or 3 years after this. I get that it's Tim. Is this year 0 for Shane Beamer? Is that where we're at? Because I don't feel like I'm giving him year 0. I feel like I'm kind of saying, hey, I know Vegas at 3.5. I know that you've only won 6 games in 2 years, or the program had. I know it's very difficult to get to 6, but you got to get to 6. Selling a bowl game, even if it's the Birmingham Bowl, is pretty important for this program. And that's why I kind of point to tomorrow. And so I don't know. When I hear that, I feel like they're focused on tomorrow and not necessarily the future. Just with, hey, let's throw Luke Doty out there.
There are situations, I think, where coaches logically get a year 0, a year that doesn't count against them. I don't think a first-year head coach gets that. I don't think you can be Shane Beamer in this instance and
You mean
see
a first-time head coach?
Yeah, first-time head coach in your entire career. I don't think you get that luxury. I think Lou Holtz got that. I think Steve Spurrier got that. Even Will Muschamp, to a certain degree, got that. Not to the same degree as the other guys because of his track record at Florida. But there is no track record as a head coach for Shane Beamer. So you can't get a year 0 where everything is completely not your fault or doesn't count against you, the whole thing, especially when you're preaching about competition and turning things around from a culture standpoint. It is all just fluff unless you get some results that went with it. Now, there are already some results in, right? You get your first shutout since 2008. You do what you should do against a bad opponent in week number 1. There you go. There's your first result. But this second one is really a much better test, I think. And I think it's why we've gotten such response this week from Gamecock fans and why it's varied wildly, right? Because there's a lot that goes into this thing, man. Like we just heard from Chris, he's saying that an SEC team should not lose to East Carolina. I would add an SEC team should certainly not lose to East Carolina within the last 5-6 years where that program has gone to, because they have not been those teams that beat ACC opponents that Shane Beamer mentioned earlier in the year, several years ago. I get it, in 2018 was kind of the exception against North Carolina, but they haven't won more than 4 games since 2015, I think it is. And Gamecock fans do not want to see the program down there again. They've seen it before, the Citadel most recently. You've seen 2-8 and 4-8 in the last couple of years. But now that you have a guy injecting enthusiasm, optimism, and a different feel around the program, you want to see results come with that. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Andre would like to weigh in on the quarterback situation at Carolina. Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, good morning, guys. First of all, I'm a first-time caller, long-time listener. I love what you guys do with the show. But I just got a different take on things, maybe than what's popular. A lot of people are putting a lot of emphasis on who's going to be starting. But to me, I don't think it's nearly as much about starting as it is if Luke is healthy. I think it's more about whether or not he gets in the game and gets some meaningful reps, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. And, going forward, yeah, we do want to look a little bit forward, but yeah, tomorrow's game is really important. So I think that, not to create a quarterback controversy or whatever, but, it's going to be really important if he is healthy that he gets in the game. So it's not, to me, much about starting as it is if both of those guys can play, because we're going to need likely both of those guys going forward when we get to the vigors of the SEC play. And I'll listen to you guys' comments off the air.
Andre, appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for tuning in and contributing today. What do you guys make of Andre's take there? Because I get that you need a backup, right? A reliable option. And if you have a mobile guy in Luke Doty, odds probably go up a little bit that he'll be dinged up on a couple of plays moving forward. But I don't see it as a great situation if these guys are going back and forth and both playing significant snaps in SEC games down the line. Bill, what do you think?
What I think will happen long term, it wouldn't surprise me if Zeb Nolan starts tomorrow, starts Georgia, maybe even Kentucky. I think at some point this year, the torch will be passed. I don't see Zeb Nolan starting 12 games. I think this is the other part of the equation. I think Luke Doty needs to continue to progress. It's that Dan Mullen mindset. Let's not just throw our guy out there to the wolves. let's let him develop a little bit more. I mean, at the end of the day, what has he had? He's had maybe a month last year, maybe mid-October is about, maybe late October. He maybe had about 7 weeks of quarterback practice with Mike Bobo. He had 15 practices in the spring. Remember, very limited in August. I think you want to put him out there when you feel he's truly ready. And if you've got a guy who you think can just manage the game, who can just hopefully rely on running game and defense right now until you feel Luke is truly ready, I think there will be a passing of the torch at some point. It might be tomorrow. It might be tomorrow. It might just go on and throw Doty out there. But I don't think you're going to have a 2-quarterback system. I just think at some point Luke Doty is going to be completely ready this year to take over. And it might be tomorrow. But that's how I kind of see it. And then, you feel, okay, if something happens to Doty and he gets hit, if he has to miss a series or a quarter or, worst case, a game, you feel okay with your backup.
Chuck and Mike both in on the YouTube live stream pointing out that if needed phrase that Shane Beamer threw in the comment we just heard from Carolina Calls last night. That's why they think Zeb will be the starter tomorrow. To me, I agree with you guys how I heard that, but then I would also not keep it out of the realm of possibility of a little gamesmanship there from Shane Beamer throwing that in kind of on purpose. I feel like I'll have to evolve my way of listening to Shane Beamer moving forward if it's, in fact, Luke Doty going tomorrow after hearing what we heard last night. Patrick, you with me on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this whole year will probably be a feeling out process with that. I mean, when Will Muschamp said something, we knew to just basically ignore it no matter what, especially if it involved injuries. We don't know. We don't know yet what the deal is with Shane. So this will be really the first big test of, all right, when he speaks, when he talks about injuries, when he talks about competition, whatever, how do we translate that? How many filters does it need to go through before we can actually figure out the meaning behind what he's saying? So, yeah, I'm with you there. I hope that's the case as well. I have no problem with a little gamesmanship, even if it throws us off the set and makes us argue pointless debates for a couple days.
How dare
If
you.
it helps, that just is what it is.
This has not been pointless at all. I think actually what was lost in what we just heard from Shane Beamer is that first part about Kevin Harris not being on a pitch count. And Twig weighs in on the Facebook live stream. Steady dose of Kevin Harris and the stable of backs that are behind him. We should walk away with an easy victory. The quarterback situation won't be an issue. I think that's best case scenario, right? You go in and physically dominate East Carolina a lot like Appalachian State did, then you can feel a lot better about the program moving forward for the 2021 season, Bill.
But this is where I think quarterback matters tomorrow. And you've got to have East Carolina, we all assume is going to come out and put basically 11 guys within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage and say, hey, big boy, whoever's at quarterback, hey, big boy, beat us. Throw it over, beat us over the top, beat us with that. There's no way East Carolina comes out and plays a 50-50 defense playing run and pass, right? They're coming out. And look, we saw it last week. Eastern Illinois, that's what they did. It's exactly what they did. And even an overmatched opponent, when you send 8-9 guys crashing in on 6 guys blocking, I don't care if it's Eastern Illinois or East Carolina or Georgia, that makes it extremely, extremely tough. Whoever plays quarterback tomorrow has to hit some downfield passes and preferably early. If you can hit on that first and second series, if South Carolina can hit a long touchdown run, one guy that I'm really excited to see tomorrow, who I think I'm going to go with a dark horse for a guy who could have an impact on this game because he had 2 catches last week and they're saying he's becoming healthier and healthier, Amarion Brown. We hadn't talked about him a lot, but he has major college experience at Georgia Tech. He has speed. He's shown, no offense to Jalen Brooks, but he's shown he can catch the deep ball. That's a guy that I watched early on that we haven't talked about. Caught 2 passes last week. Sounds healthy. Keep an eye on him tomorrow. He's a guy who can get behind the defense, and if somebody can connect with him, Doty or Nolan, and you can back that defense off, that's where guys like Kevin Harris, Saquandre White, who, by the way, I don't think we're talking about enough this week, and Marshawn Lloyd have a big day running the football.
And, Bill, as you said, the quarterbacks have got to hit those passes. Well, the other part about that is equally important, right? Whether it's Jalen Brooks or DeCarrion Joyner or Marion Brown, those guys got to make plays because we saw Colin Hill multiple times last year make a perfect pass and the play not completed on the other end. 803-404-6100 if you would like to weigh in with a final word. Our college football picks coming up next here. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
Live, local, and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 The Game. Feel free to call and complain if you wish.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
Remember, we are free of charge, after all.
Timing has been a blast this week, man. Just to talk college football with you guys, to get after it in a lot of ways about different situations has been a blast, especially with what's going on in the world. And that includes the housing market right now, still on fire. The numbers incredible. Might be the time for you to take advantage. I suggest you give Beaufort Lending a call. 843-524-2404 is the number. All the information's up on the video stream right now. Beaufort Lending, what they've done for me, I can tell you from firsthand experience here in the last several months or so, just looking at my options in the housing market. I got the expanding family, looking to maybe upsize the house. Beaufort Lending has been there with me every step of the way in this lending process, and that's what you need in a lender, someone you can trust. When you make a phone call, when you need something, they'll be there for you. That's what Benji Getzi has done for me. I know he'll do the same for you, and Beaufort Lending has 25 years of experience, so no matter what your situation is, you're looking for a VA loan, an FHA, USDA loan, conventional construction, renovation, looking to refinance right now, Beaufort Lending's been there, done that. They are confident they can find you the best deal. That's why they just ask that you put them on a list of lenders you're looking to find the best deals with. And Beaufort Lending wants to prove that they can find you those best numbers. Benji Getzi and Beaufort Lending. Give them a call again. The important numbers, 843-524-2404.
There. From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of
Get my season standings going here.
All right, what are the numbers here again?
Ohio State minus 14.5. Iowa State minus 4.5. Pitt minus 3.5. NC State minus 1.5.
And are we doing 2.5 or 1.5 for South Carolina?
2.5, I guess. I'm seeing 2.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
2.5 is
fine.
good. I'm good with that. Okay, we'll go in that order that you read them out too. Cool. Especially since Oregon, Ohio State started at noon. Did you go? You didn't go chronological, obviously, with Carolina also being a noon game. Noon Fox.
Well, we can go. I just picked them randomly off the sheet. So.
Let's see here. ABC game. And you said it was Iowa State minus 4.5, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Beaufort Lending does all of South Carolina. You can
Yep.
give them a call. They take care of everybody.
Wow, Pitt, Tennessee also a noon game.
Yeah, we got a busy. You got to remind me to bring the TV back. The TV from the office. So we got another TV down here.
Carolina games ESPN 2, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Trey, yeah, Coastal and Kansas tonight. ESPN 2, I think.
Massive spread on that one.
Yeah.
Jen, thanks for doing the podcast there.
Yep.
So Troy's picks are Pitt, NC State, Gamecocks, Iowa, and Oregon. Interesting.
Yeah, if you're gonna send in your picks, do it now.
And some solid sarcasm there from Six Troll Joe. I appreciate that, sir. If you guys aren't subscribed to the old YouTube page, please do so. See, Blake, haven't seen you pop up before. See you guys joining in, man. The more the merrier.
Well, we're picking. Got to remember, Blake. We're picking against the spread here.
Yeah, totally agree with that, Blake. The question is, can they cover 14.5?
And we're in the return.
We're in the return.
Coming back, whatever you want to say. Rejoin. Guys are up.
Oh, big conclusion of a tremendous week of talking college football with you. Got our college football picks coming up. First, I want to remind you about the Twin Peaks Hot Take Hotline there, 803-978-6654. You're watching any game, maybe tonight at Coastal Carolina and Kansas, or any game over the weekend, the one that we're about to pick especially, 978-6654 is the number for the Hot Take Hotline. It's always there for you, sponsored by Twin Peaks. For the men who never see them, go see them down in the Vista on Gervais Street there. All right, not nearly the slate of games that we had last week, but still some good ones, I think. And we still had to make some cuts, like Arkansas, Texas didn't make the list here. What else were we thinking about might make the cut, Patrick, that did not make our cut of 5 picks?
App State, Miami is an interesting one.
Right.
After App State's whooped ECU and Miami got whooped, who knows?
Right, and that line is what right now?
9 right now. Miami's a 9-point favorite.
Okay, interesting. That one did not make the cut. But Bill, what do you think about the App State Miami game?
It's down in Miami. I think Miami will cover that one, but I think it'll be close. Miami's a good team. Derek King, they're embarrassed. It wouldn't surprise me to see them go out and have a good game on Saturday.
Let's start with the big headlining game of the week. It's Oregon at Ohio State, noon on Fox. This one, we just had Blake say, I don't see Oregon winning the game. I certainly don't either, especially after they struggled a little bit in week 1 just to beat Fresno State. 14.5, though, is the spread, and it wasn't like C.J. Stroud that has came out and lit the world on fire. From the Ohio State standpoint, they did pull away late against Minnesota. I think a lot of that had to do with the injury to the star Minnesota running back Ibrahim. Patrick, we'll let you go first. How you seeing Ohio State, Oregon, Buckeyes minus 14.5?
The half point above the 2 touchdowns is a bit scary, but I'm still going to take Ohio State. Partly because of the mental clock deal for Oregon playing a 9 a.m. West Coast time game, but they just weren't that impressive. I mean, I'm not going to say take anything away from Fresno State. I think Fresno State's actually a very good team this year, like one of the best group of 5 teams probably, but they weren't super impressive. Anthony Brown wasn't that impressive, and Ohio State's just super talented. Those 2 receivers are just ridiculous. They're going to feast.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm with Patrick. I feel like the new term that I've heard this all season is body clock game. It's a 9 a.m. body clock game for Oregon. Very early start time. And I think C.J. Stroud kind of found his rhythm in the second half. Patrick, you're the NFL guru. Those 2 wide receivers, Olave and Graves?
Yeah.
Is that correct? I mean, they're elite talents. I think it might be close early on, but I think Ohio State pulls away. I'll actually lay that extra half a point and take Ohio State.
The horseshoe's going to be rocking.
Yeah.
No doubt. And it makes all the sense in the world to pick Ohio State here, but that 14.5 is too much for me. And the fact that you guys got 1 out of 5 last week makes me want to not agree with you. So I'm going to do that here. I'll take Oregon to cover in this thing on the road despite the body clock game. Game number 2, Iowa at Iowa State, College game day in Ames, 4:30, ABC. The Cyclones, a 4.5-point favorite against the Hawkeyes. Bill, how do you see this thing?
I'm going to go Iowa. Matt Campbell at times can get his team up for big games. We've seen him beat Oklahoma, but rivalry game, Kirk Ferentz, they were good last week. Ran the football, played defense, blew out Indiana. Iowa State, I feel like, was looking ahead in their game. I can't quite remember which FCS opponent they were playing. They won 16-10.
Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa, thank you. And so, yeah, they were looking ahead. I'm not going to put much stake in it, but I will take the 4.5. I mean, I don't know if Iowa wins straight up. I'd pick them to win straight up, but I'm going Iowa.
Patrick, what about you?
Yep, I'm going to pick Iowa to win the football game outright. I think Iowa's actually very good. That was a statement win against a trendy Indiana team that a lot of people were into. They made Michael Penix look terrible. Brock Purdy has struggled in big games, and it took Breece Hall, their star running back, 23 carries to pick up 69 yards against Northern Iowa. That's not going to fly against Iowa's defensive line. They got country strong boys up there, so I'll take the Hawkeyes.
I got to do it this time. I agree with you guys. I think you nailed it, which makes me think that the opposite thing will happen here. And Matt Campbell, it seems to happen at least once a season, right? But not as a favorite. It seems like Iowa State sneaks up on somebody when it doesn't make any sense. I've analyzed this thing how you guys do. Iowa's just a better football team going into this thing. I get it that they're on the road and this is a rivalry and the whole deal.
College game day will be there.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Iowa, especially with the points. Maybe if this thing was switched, I would take Iowa State to cover, but not in this instance. All right, now SEC, ACC. We got a couple of these matchups. We'll start with Pitt at Tennessee, noon ESPN, where Pitt is a 3.5-point favorite. Patrick, let's go with you.
I think I'm gonna take Pitt to win. It's in Knoxville, which is just kind of crazy to think about. But I don't know. They've got an experienced quarterback in Kenny Pickett. They've got some pretty decent receivers, and I'm just not high on Tennessee. I don't think they're impressive against Bowling Green, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee jumped out to a big lead last week at 14-0 right off the bat and then kind of sputtered the remainder of the way. Pittsburgh absolutely blew out a completely overmatched UMass team 51-7. Pickett last week 27-37 for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. I haven't been on high. I haven't been a big fan of Tennessee. All the losses that they've had through the offseason, Josh Heupel and that offense. I've always kind of been a fan of Pat Narduzzi. I think he's a good fit at Pittsburgh. I'll take Pittsburgh and the 3.5. Oh boy.
In Tennessee right now, especially. I get it that they had no problems with Bowling Green, but to me, I don't think Joe Milton's going to be the answer there. Their quarterback struggles will continue, and will take advantage. The other ACC SEC game, again, the SEC team at home, not favored. It's NC State minus 1.5 at Mississippi State for the 7 p.m. game. Bill, what are you thinking on that one?
You know what? We just dogged the ACC last week, and rightfully so. A lot of bad losses. Virginia Tech looked really good, but I tell you what, I know South Florida is not good, but man, NC State looked really good last week, and I'm kind of leaning with the Wolfpack on this. I think they go and get the job done. They can ball control a little bit. Ricky Pearson is the running back there who can do some things. I'm going to take NC State in this one to go on the road and knock off Mike Leach and the Bulldogs.
I'm going to agree with you. Mississippi State down 20 in the fourth quarter to Louisiana Tech before they scored 21 unanswered. But they gave up 34 straight points to Louisiana Tech. I think NC State could put up some points here. I'd be surprised if Mississippi State keeps it that close, actually. Patrick, where are you going? We're both going NC State. You making it a clean sweep?
Yeah, I feel like we're just going to end up all taking all of the same games, which is brutal for a pick segment. But, I mean, you said Ricky Pearson. Zonovan Knight won the win for 163 yards against South Florida. So I'd have no respect for Mike Leach anymore after last season.
Final pick, Carolina. We're going minus 2.5 at East Carolina. Bill, briefly, what do you think?
Briefly.
Closer than expected. I think 24-17. South Carolina holds on for the victory, so they cover the spread.
40.
A South Carolina pick there. Patrick, I assume you're doing the same?
Not as close as expected. South Carolina blowout, yeah.
Okay, you want to give a final score there?
31-10.
Whew. And if the defense plays like you think they will, I can see that happening. I think East Carolina is going to be a stronger test than that, especially on the road, especially with the quarterback situation for the Gamecocks. I'll pick Carolina to cover that 2.5, but just barely. 2017 is where my head is at. Been a fun week. Thanks for listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game. Dan Packer Show coming up next. I'm glad I went against you guys at least for Oregon. We're the same on the rest. Clearly, we are developing into one brain on this show. Not a great sign.
That's
Yeah,
not
that's
good.
unfortunate. Well, it's rare that happens. It's rare, but we were all on the same page on that. I don't know. So would have y'all taken Miami?
No, I would take.
No, I don't think so.
Y'all take App. Y'all would have taken App, huh?
See, no, I would have taken Miami. I would have taken Miami. What about Texas, Arkansas? What was that? That's 7?
Texas 7. I would take Texas 7.5.
Same here.
Yeah, I think I'd be with you on Texas. The other one, the other good one you didn't mention is just a late night game, BYU and Utah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What's the spread?
Hold on, I have it right here. BYU,
I
Utah's
can't even pretend to know
10-15.
anything.
Utah's -7 on the road.
I don't know about anything about either of those teams right now.
Yeah, I'd go BYU to cover 7.
I know they both lost a lot, but
I don't know. Utah's pretty good. I might go with Utah.
I
They got
kind of want to
Charlie
take back
Brewer.
the,
They brought in the old Baylor quarterback, Charlie Brewer. I might go. I might have leaned to take Utah on that one.
I kind of want to take back the 10-point prediction and be like more 31-17. We really didn't talk about it much, but the one thing is that like maybe their experienced quarterback lights up a super inexperienced secondary.
Mm-hmm.
That would be by far my biggest concern is that we stuff them, but Holton, what is it? Ehlers?
Ehlers, yeah.
Ehlers can hit a couple deep ones.
Sarcasm strong with 6 this morning. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's been a blast. We'll do it again next week. I think we're all hoping there will be plenty of positive things to talk about instead of falling, but we'll see.
Let's get one more week of positive vibes.
One more non-Monday morning football therapy session.
That's right.
We'll see.
Let's hope.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Touchdown this week.